Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fanfiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
Evening of the Invasion of Kanahagakure by Oto and Sunagakure. The last active Sannin in Kanahagakure arrived at the Hokage residence, the very mansion many of the Hokage spent their reign living in. Of course, only 3 Hokage have spent their time here. Minato never did so, said he wanted to live in the village, and seemed like he was one of the people. Jiraiya himself had been here a few times, visiting Sarutobi sensei when his late teacher's wife was around, and a few times when she had died, but he hadn't been too intimate with the place. Fortunately, he only had to worry about making it to the front gate. The current Jonin commander was there to greet him. That commander being Shikaku Nara, an experienced ninja of the force for many years and current head of his clan, the Nara clan. The 38-year-old man had an excellent service history, and was the very testament of why the Nara clan was feared inside and outside Kanahagakure. In fact, the Third Shinobi World War was won because of his role as Jonin commander even back then, serving as the village's tactician. If you brought him one scenario and needed a solution, his mind would immediately think of 20 ways to solve it in a very short time. Those Nara, man. Excellent allies. Shikaku Nara unfolded his arms, and sent Jiraiya a slight but nonetheless respectful bow. Jiraiya-sama, good evening. A hell of a day we just had. Jiraiya bowed back. Indeed. I can't wait for be over with it. I need a cold beer, and a babe in my lap. You know what I mean? I don't really have to worry about the woman part, but I would definitely love a cold beer. Unfortunately, my wife isn't very keen on my drinking, especially late at night. Jiraiya chuckled. Probably one of the reasons I never got tied down. Life's too short to not be running around, and not enjoying yourself. Shikaku shook his head with a strained smile. Unfortunately, not all of us are lucky to live that life. Or willing to. Anyway, shall we get this over with so we can get home and rest for the night? Jiraiya gestured him to lead, and the Nara clansman did, placing a key into the keyhole of the door, and opening the doors to the Hokage residence. Jiraiya ignored most of the posh and swanky furniture inside the place, and focused more at the way they were going. If memory served him well here, they were on their way to Sarutobi sensei's study. Soon enough, they were in a large room with a sparse amount but still nice furniture, sitting chairs, a large bookshelf circling the entire room, and a desk in the middle with a chair sitting at it. Jiraiya ran his fingertips on the wooden table, adorned with several scrolls and papers on top. The papers were piled up in a neat stack, looking intimidating. All things the Sandaime hadn't finished filling out. However, that wasn't his main focus. Instead, Jiraiya was focused on the scrolls instead. Are these the letters Sarutobi-sensei were speaking about? Yes, they are. Pick the one farthest left. That's the first one he wanted you to read. Jiraiya nodded and did a little sigh, before unraveling the scroll. Time to get down to business then. Jiraiya. I am writing this to you for the same reason I will write a letter to Naruto. The Chunin exams draw near, and I await the tournament with equaling anticipation and trepidation. I fear that the exams will be the end of my reign as the Hokage. I fear Orochimaru will end up killing me. I am not in my prime, Jiraiya, I have not been in my prime for years. Simple training would have sufficed, but nothing so much in a month. I am, after all, not young and spry like our certain resident Uzumaki. Years in the office without stepping out for a battle has significantly made me weaker, and I am but a shell of a shinobi I used to be. That was pretty bad of him to think like that. But maybe it wasn't that far from the truth. Sensei struggled in that last battle. He certainly was not in his prime, and definitely not fighting with his best. Yes, perhaps this is not how a Hokage should talk about himself to one of his subjects, but I feel like admitting this to you. You are more than one of my subjects, but a man I have come to care for like a son, really. Yes, I felt the same once for Tsunade and Orochimaru, but they have abandoned the village. Yes, I say this. Orochimaru has become perverted and sick, demented and irredeemable. I shall make sure if I die in the upcoming battle, I will try my best to rectify my past mistakes dealing with him. Words cannot alone express my regrets about Orochimaru. Sensei sounded like he was already preparing to use the Shiki Fujin, Jiraiya thought with a grimace. That's horrible for him to believe that he needed it to beat Orochimaru. As for Tsunade, I still care for her, but she has abandoned her duties, her country, because she could not get over her own issues dealing with her former lover, and also her brother. I wept for the souls who have died in the Second Shinobi World War, as some of those souls were close friends and family of mine. You, who have always had no parents, and you, who lost friends of your own, wept but you had gotten back up, and let go. You stood tall when things were falling apart. I have always admired that about you. I expected Tsunade of the same, but she failed me. Jiraiya had to stop at that. That was surprising. He never knew Sarutobi-sensei had those thoughts of his students. While it was flattering to hear Sarutobi-sensei had a high opinion on him, the less than flattering feelings he had for Tsunade was shocking. He could understand the disappointment he felt at Tsunade quitting as a shinobi, but for him to say she failed him? That was surprising uncharacteristic of him to say. As harsh as it sounded, she failed me. As terrible as it was, Orochimaru failed me. But you have always made me proud to call you my student. You, Jiraiya. Ah, yes, the gallant Jiraiya forever roaming, but always serving his country, his countrymen, and his Hokage. You have done well. Thus, Jiraiya, I feel it prudent to ask you one final thing of you, and it is selfish, I know, but I felt like you were best suited for it. I have spoken to my advisors, and they have approved, but I will leave the final choice to you. Oh no. He could feel butterflies form in his stomach. What did his sensei have planned for him? He wouldn't be worrying if he didn't think he knew what it was. What I ask of you is not easy, and is again very selfish, but I need to know Kanahagakure will put in good hands, in the hands of someone who has always served the country first, and his needs second. I ask of you, Jiraiya, to become the Godame Hokage. Yep, he had a feeling that was coming. That didn't make it any less shocking. Him? The Hokage? Him, the slacker of the group of the Sannin? He was never a sort of genius like Orochimaru, or was from a legendary clan like Tsunade, who was the granddaughter of a Senju and an Uzumaki. He was an orphan with no clan ties, no bloodline, and no special upbringing. He had to work hard for his own. Perhaps you are scrunching up your face in confusion, maybe even downright refusing already, but I truly believe you are the best candidate in the village. Out of the strongest shinobi in the village, there is no other choice. Kakashi Hatake is much like Tsunade, too into himself and is still fighting his demons. He is immensely strong and experienced, but it wouldn't be wise to give him the position now, not until he is ready. Madogai is extremely strong, but is not so respected. He is better a soldier than a village leader. I do not think the world is ready for a Kage who only wear green tight bodysuits, Jiraiya. Shikaku Nara will downright refuse and call it troublesome. He will also reason he is better as a strategist and an advisor than he is as a leader. He will even have a very convincing argument ready for such. I already know it. Naruto Uzumaki, as much as I believe he will one day become the Hokage, is still a growing boy who needs to gain more strength, more responsibility, and more wisdom before he is ready to do such a thing. Only you are the best suitable candidate. Why was he the best candidate? He was a borderline hedonistic shinobi who loved to travel, to drink, to have different women in his bed every night, and loved to never be in one place for a long time. He studied the plants, he studied the stars, studied new places he visited, and he studied people, but he never liked being in one place forever. He was thus good for the position of being the one running the spy network. It worked for him. He got to explore the world outside his village, he got to relax, and to reflect. Why was he suited for the job? Sarutobi-sensei was right in thinking Jiraiya believed there would be others better than him. Shikaku Nara was better by a whole lot. He was what Konoha needed in a leader: strong, experienced, clever, and highly intelligent. He was not afraid of doing what was needed of him for the good of his country, and would be excellent. Hell, Tsunade was more up to the task of filling in the role for Hokage than him. She was serious, had the right blood for the position, being a senju and all, and would be an excellent Hokage. All she needed to be is convinced to clean up her act to do so. Plus, her amazing knowledge of medical ninjutsu was only rivaled by the Shodai Hokage. That would definitely be an asset to the village. You are the representation of the will of fire. You have stood for what was right to do. You have never deserted your village for selfish reasons. You have stayed loyal. You have served us outstandingly. You have never strayed from the path. Even when things have gotten dark, you stood there, holding the torch, to light the way. Tsunade and Orochimaru could never do that. Furthermore, you have what they do not: respect. You have the respect of the current ninja force, all of them. Tsunade's efforts and framework of modern medical ninjutsu in the world are to be lauded and respected, but she herself is not. Orochimaru is disgraced completely, and his name is tarnished. He had conducted live experiments on people, snatching and kidnapping orphans for his own ambitions. The great Jiraiya has been, and stayed, great. You have the entire respect and adoration of all of our ninja. The village would accept you. My advisors would accept you, or perhaps begrudgingly, but they would accept you. The fire daimyo himself would accept you completely. There is, like I said before, no other suitable candidate. My advisors would perhaps disagree and say one more is a good candidate, but I do not believe so, Jiraiya. You know who I speak of. There was only one person he could think that could cause Sarutobi-sensei to be wary. At this time, you may have noticed a mark on the top of this letter. Good. This seal is keyed to your DNA. Once you placed your hand on the paper, it has become readable to you and you only. This was something me and Shikako came up with before the exams once again started. This was getting serious. He had noticed the mark, but he didn't pay much heed to it. In fact, it looked nothing out of the ordinary but the special marking that the Hokage had approved of this letter. Now that he did, he could see the complex writing and miniature layers in the seal. How interesting. He would have to view over it more later. Danzo Shimura is the candidate my advisors would choose as Hokage, but I do not agree. I do not trust him. I cannot trust him. He is too steeped in darkness, and the Hokage is a position in which a person must walk in the light. Danzo has many times tried to undermine my position as Hokage, but none so much than 5 years ago, yes. He is an extremist, and while his love for the country is as strong as mine, his methods to keep the peace are wrong. More so than that, he has gone too much times behind my back, and would rather plunge Konohagakure in another armed conflict than try to keep the peace between the other major countries out there. You will do well to be wary of that man. I have another thing you must read. It will be key to your DNA just like the scroll, but only if you accept the position of Hokage are you allowed to see it, Jiraiya. Should you choose not, please, I implore you to not allow Danzo the position. I also ask you to, because I do believe you will try to not seek a Hokage in Tsunade. She, like Kakashi, is too deep into her sorrows. Perhaps, more so than Kakashi. She will not be suitable, and until she magically comes back to the village fixed and ready, she will never be. I know how you feel about her, Jiraiya, and you have hope in her, but I have grown cynical in my old age. Forgive me, Jiraiya. I am selfish, and perhaps wrong, but as Hokage, my word is bond. Choose wisely. Truly, I hope that this letter shall never come into your hands. Perhaps I shall live the upcoming battle, and perhaps I will be allowed a few more years to continue this, and perhaps a newer candidate like Naruto can take my place, but that is whimsical thinking, and like I said before, I am too old to think such. Thank you, and farewell. Hiruzen Sarutobi. And that was the end of the letter, which by the time Jiraiya was done, the Toad Sage was rubbing his temples rapidly. He turned to the Nara next to him, narrowing his eyes. I assume you read the letter. I was there when he wrote it. The Jonin commander of Konohagakure correctly softly. He's right though, I would definitely refuse the job. It's too troublesome for me. And it's not troublesome for a guy like me? Jiraiya questioned rhetorically, rubbing the back of his head. You know, a very long time ago, I wanted to be Hokage. Then when I realized that Orochimaru would get that position, I decided it wasn't worth it. I felt, for the longest, that I was always the weakest one of the group. I was the goofball, who hadn't accomplished things Orochimaru and Tsunade did. They were always praised for their talents. Both were child prodigies, I was not. I was seen as that guy who was a pervert, and nothing else. It was only after the Second Shinobi World War I started to see a difference. By that time, the war changed Orochimaru. He became more twisted, demented. He always seemed off, but none such like after the Second Great War. He did things that was terrible even in our line of work. Perhaps in hindsight, he has always been bad. Then, Tsunade left, and he got worse. It became so bad that when the Third Shinobi World War ended, and Minato was named the Hokage, who Orochimaru stopped being so secretive with his experiments, and he was caught quickly. By that time, however, I wasn't very much in the village after I accepted the job of being Kanahagakure's leader in their spy network. Jiraiya walked over to the large mansion window, staring at the sky's beautiful full moon that loomed right over. I got out to see the world, I got to experience it firsthand. Sometimes, as a working man in small towns, sometimes, as an aristocrat in capitals. Sometimes, as myself in neutral territories. I got out, and enjoyed life for once. I didn't have to worry so much about being second-rate to Orochimaru, I didn't have to worry about being a jonin after Minato died, I didn't have to worry about anything. I stopped teaching, stopped training so much. I felt I had indeed reached a limit, and I didn't want to go any further. Let the old man choose who he wanted to be Hokage, I said to myself. I would serve Kanahagakure, but I would also enjoy my life. I sat down, wrote, lived life, had a girl or two a night, smoked and drank, because I needed to unwind. I was too stressed. Jiraiya turned back to look into the dark eyes of the Nara clan leader. And now, Sarutobi-sensei seemed to have chosen his successor, again. What will you do, Jiraiya-sama? Shikaku said. Jiraiya had not known why he even said all of that to the man. Jiraiya doubted the man cared or wanted to care about Jiraiya's spiel. To him, Shikaku needed one thing and one thing only, a leader. The white-haired man, for once, had no snappy remark back. Nothing flippant to say, and nothing to say jokingly. For once, like he had been since Minato died, he felt stressed, and worse of all, a little lost. The Hokage was a position he didn't want, trying to find reasons to refuse the position. He still, in his heart, believed there was someone better. Maybe not Kakashi. Jiraiya hadn't had much interaction with the man, but since he was very close with the late Yondaime Hokage like Jiraiya had been, and also seen the death of his team, he could understand why Sarutobi-sensei didn't believe in allowing Kakashi the title. Plus, the Sandaime Hokage had more experience dealing with Kakashi as well. Since the man was too into himself, and he didn't know Guy nearly enough to trust him with the position, Jiraiya was running out of options. Shikaku has and would continue refusing, and no one wanted that old bastard Danzo in the seat. Shikaku didn't seem like he wanted him either. In fact, Shikaku stared at him almost expectantly. Like, he expected him to take up the mantle. I want your honest opinion, Shikaku-san. What do you think of Tsunade? Shikaku gave him a neutral look, as he folded his arms behind his back. Tsunade is, no doubt, an unknown. According to what I know, she has not returned, been in, or even contacted Kanahagakure ever since she left. Our feelers have stated seeing her sometimes in Hino Kuni, but never close enough to Kanahagakure. All she has done is wasted her own savings, and her family's savings, on drinking excessively in gambling spots. She's not what she has been before, Jiraiya-sama. Plus, there is no telling if she has kept her skills polished with how long she has been gone. I have to agree with what Sarutobi-sama has written in the letter. So you would be opposed to her becoming the Hokage? If she can put her past behind her, return, and be the leader we need, I would not. For now, I don't recommend her being elected as such. She has lost complete political clout with a lot of our ninja, and the Fire Daimyo, the one who truly has the last say in electing a candidate, has favored you for a number of years. The daimyo has asked Sarutobi-sama many times when will he find a replacement, and our lord has always suggested you, Jiraiya-sama, as Sarutobi-sama's successor. Shikaka sighed deeply. That's all I'm saying. Jiraiya grunted in displeasure. I want to find Tsunade. My lord, our village needs a leader now. The commander declared, frowning deeply at the older man. Tsunade is incredibly elusive, and it will take us months on end to track her. There is simply no time to look for her, then assess her skills and state of mind, then try to convince her to come back, which in itself is another difficult task, and then return her home. Kanahagakure is reeling from the invasion of Suna and Oto, my lord. This is a crucial chance for Konoha's enemies to take a shot at her. We do not need another conflict with any nation. This is in my own opinion, as a tactician. Jiraiya could not argue with that logic, not at all. No matter how much he wanted to, it was completely perfect logic. The Sannin only sighed. No other person, it seems. No other person. Shikaka shook his head, then sighed himself. Troublesome. Perhaps we can just sleep on this. You came to see the letter like Sarutobi-sama asked you to. I would suggest thinking about it for a few days, maybe about a week at most. I believe that is as much as I can suggest you can spare before the advisors come themselves to ask you of your decision. Ask? More like bug. Jiraiya snorted humorlessly. All right. Tell you what, I'll come seek you out. Maybe, by tomorrow, we meet here again? That's acceptable. Jiraiya nodded. Alrighty then. I think I'm going to skip both the beer and babe tonight. I'm going to go to my little hotel room and sleep it off. Good night, Shikaku-san. The same to you, Jiraiya-sama. I only hope you make the right decision. Kanahagakure needs this, sir. Jiraiya sighed. Oh, I know. I know. He was tired, definitely. It was all a long, drawn-out day. The future didn't seem so simple either. Yo, Sarutobi Gigi. Glad you could make it today. The old Hokage grunted, stepping inside the ramen Ichiraku stand, and sat down. You never eat anything else, Naruto, do you? I swear, it is always ramen with you. The old man groused. Nevertheless, Sarutobi sent a kindly smile to the waitress who walked out to the counter from the restaurant's kitchen. Good afternoon, I am Chan. Sup, I am Nekken? Naruto grinned. Good afternoon, Hokage-sama, and good afternoon, Naruto. The brunette bowed respectfully to the village's head leader. We're pleasantly surprised and grateful to have you here today. You usually don't stop by here. The Hokage shrugged. I allowed him to choose what we were going to have for lunch. Although, it was against my better judgment. My first choice would have not been ramen, no offense, I am Chan. You insulter of our ways. Ramen is food for the gods, old-timer. Naruto bellowed quite dramatically. Ain't that right, Ani-chan? I am only chuckled at the blonde. Sure, kiddo, though I think I can forgive Hokage-sama. After all, he's got a point. All this ramen is hardly good for you and your height, Naruto. Both the Hokage and I am ignored Naruto's immediate indignant cry. Alright, so, what would you like today, you two? Ah, a veggie ramen for me with a side order of teriyaki glazed fish balls, and anything our Naruto would like to eat. The usual, Naruto? Ayam gave the boy a knowing look and smile. She already started to walk away from the two shinobi. The usual. Naruto grinned. A bowl of miso and then some more. Coming right up. The brown-haired girl yelled back, disappearing back into the kitchen. So, Naruto, how goes the training, my boy? Ebisu-kun's going too hard on you? The Hokage asked. Nah, he's not so bad. I'm a little stumped on a part in the training, but it's going alright. Naruto answered back. Man, I can't wait to get some ramen in me. As always. Sarutobi snorted derisively, though Naruto could tell he was kidding around. Well, that's good to hear. No complications with your chakra, yes? Nope, but I'll let you know. If a snake guy comes put a seal on me, I'll let you know first. Smart boy. The Hokage affectionately rubbed Naruto's head, his fingers scrubbing Naruto's hair back and forth. Naruto didn't like a whole lot of people doing that, but didn't mind the old man doing so. The month is almost up, Naruto. I hope everything you have been doing with Ebisu has paid off. Yeah, things are looking swell really. Ebisu-sensei may be stiff, but he's actually a pretty cool teacher. Then Naruto looked a little miffed by something. Kinda makes you wonder what that would be like if he was my permanent one. So, you're saying you dislike having Kakashi-kun as your teacher? Sometimes. Naruto admitted. I mean, I feel like I barely learned anything from him, and I know Ebisu-sensei keeps telling me that he took Sasuke for a reason to train, but I just can't help but to feel left out. Maybe I wouldn't be feeling like that if he spent more time teaching us instead of slacking off. You know, when you become a Chunin, you are no longer obligated with staying on your assigned team. Do you think you will try to learn from another teacher? Perhaps Ebisu? Remember, he is your temporary teacher for the month. Unless he takes his time out for free to teach you, you will have to hire him as a tutor. Naruto hadn't thought of that honestly. But, then, who can help me finish my Earth Chakra training? Well, perhaps Kakashi-kun. Naruto scoffed. I don't think he'll have time doing any of that. I mean, he's still teaching Sasuke and all. Naruto, perhaps you don't realize it, but Kakashi isn't doing this because he wants to. In all honesty, I was the one who told Kakashi to focus training Sasuke-kun this month. Sarutobi raised his hand, trying to dispel Naruto's surprised cries. Please let me finish before you start hollering. I did it because, in all honesty, Sasuke has always been in dark waters, ever since the massacre of his entire clan. This business with Orochimaru has not been the start of it. Sasuke isn't what you are, Naruto-kun. Huh? What's that? The blonde questioned. Bound by ties to the village. Do you get what I am saying, Naruto? Sasuke is hungry for power. It isn't like what you long for. Your quest in life to become stronger so you can protect those of the village and your loved ones. Sasuke, on the other hand, wishes to become strong enough to kill his brother, Itachi. He only looks to gain power because of it, and nothing else. He fights for nothing else. A dark path of revenge is his life and it needs to change. Sasuke isn't bad, old man. Naruto exclaimed, getting angry that his favorite Hokage was bashing his teammate/rival/part-time friend. You make it sound like he's going to do something wrong. I am not saying he's a bad person, simply misguided. It has always been like this. He has always been unreceptive to people, unwilling to let them in, and only worrying about getting stronger. Orochimaru has corrupted Sasuke further. A dark power such as the Ten no Juin is tempting to Sasuke, my boy. That's exactly what Orochimaru wants, for Sasuke to become a slave to that power, to rely on it to give him strength, and to go to him for more power. Naruto wasn't convinced. Sasuke isn't stupid. He's not going to use that power, Sarutobi GG, or go to that snake bastard. Furthermore, he has ties. He has his team, he has us. Why would he want to throw that away? But Naruto didn't miss the meaningful look the Hokage gave him for a moment. The Hokage merely looked at him evenly. I hope you are right. Understand this, however, your anger for Kakashi is understandable, but it is not truly his fault. Kakashi needed to see after the boy, to train him in order for him to get him to not rely on Orochimaru's seal. I hope you understand. You know about dark power, Naruto, how it can corrupt you if you let it. Naruto slowly nodded, getting what the man was saying. There had been 2 situations he had been in that he had to rely on the Kyuubi, and both had been times he would not like to repeat. Still, I can't help but to feel like things would be better if Kakashi-sensei trained us beforehand. Maybe that's why I'm still annoyed by it. And you are right to feel like that. I do not know why Kakashi decided to do what he did, and then put you 3 in the exams if you were barely trained, but here you are, in the semifinals of the exams, going one-on-one with Niji Hyuga. I would say you did just fine. Sarutobi sighed. Enough of that. I made the call, you can get mad at me if you like. Besides, I already had someone else to see to your training, even before Kakashi asked Ebisu to train you for the month. Unfortunately, he could not get here in time. Fortunately, he did make it here, and now, I will have him train with you next month. So, no more Ebisu-sensei? Naruto couldn't help but to feel a little saddened by that. Ebisu wasn't that bad of a guy actually. He was surprisingly meticulous, attentive when teaching Naruto, paying attention to everything Naruto was doing, and very helpful with mistakes. He was always there for help, and then some. Besides Irika-sensei, former teachers Naruto had never stayed out late to help him out with something he was struggling with. I am sorry. Sarutobi obviously caught Naruto's tone of voice. If you can convince him to either train you for free or hire him for his services, which I doubt either will be viable options, because I have assigned other duties for him, I would say your chances are slim. Fortunately, your training will continue. I have another option for you. There is another person I want you to meet. The man I have for you is a master at using earth release techniques much more than Ebisu, truly. In fact, he's the former teacher of your hero, the Yondaime Hokage. You'll be learning from quite a great shinobi. No shit? Naruto perked up, if a little bit. Naruto, I shit you not. Sarutobi rolled his eyes at Naruto's crassness, but he had an amused smile on his face. Have I let you down ever? The blonde chuckled. I guess not. Then there you go. Maybe I could do both? Learn from both Ebisu-sensei and the new guy? Maybe. The Hokage allowed with a shrug and a smile. Steam billowed into the air above them. Ah, looks like our food is done. Smiled at both. Here you go. She set down Naruto's food and bowed to the Hokage. Your veggie ramen is coming, me lord. The elder Hokage waved his hand, do not worry. I am in no hurry to leave and go back to work. Paperwork is one of the Hokage's many foes. The Hokage smiled at the blonde genin, who was ripping his chopsticks out of its package. A foe you will have to deal with one day, Naruto-kun. The 16-year-old waitress giggled, and Naruto guffawed himself. Nah, I'll be using my clones to go deal with that crap while I'm out saving princesses from snowy icelands, you old coot. Shook her head in exasperation. So disrespectful, Naruto. The blonde grinned back. What? The Hokage likes me calling him that. I would not say that. The Hokage grunted. I think I am still sane for my age. Lunchtime was dwindling down, and it would be back to the same grind for both of them, Naruto with his training, and the Hokage tackling the many issues of the village. Naruto was finished with his last bowl of ramen, and the Hokage had long finished his hearty meal. Small talk again began between the two, with sometimes joining in the conversation. For the most of it, Sarutobi and Naruto talked while tended to other customers. Time is up, Naruto-kun. I am about to get back to my office. Check, san. Sarutobi called over the girl, bringing out his wallet, but was surprised to see Naruto push his hand down. Naruto? I got this, Sarutobi Gigi. Relax. After all, I asked you out to lunch, right? The Hokage blinked, before smiling. Oh. This is new. Well, gotta act responsible sometimes, right? After all, I'm going to be a Chunin. Naruto grinned. That's the point of all this, being responsible. Seems like you learned the answer to your previous question. I guess I will be seeing you soon at the mission assignment desk, begging for a B rank, right, Chunin Naruto Uzumaki? Yeah, of course. Naruto said, without shame in his tone. You got to promise me though that we'll go out and celebrate, Gigi. I'll be nice, and allow you to choose the location. Well, that would be nice for once. Yeah, because that means you're paying. After the invasion of Kanahagakure, 4 days later. All that was a painful memory from a few days ago before the start of the semifinals of the Chunin Exams, a sad reminder that none of that would be happening. There would be no great celebration, no grand party congratulating him on getting promoted, and no old man laughing with him joyfully as he was a step closer to taking the job of Hokage from him. He had been up since the crack of dawn, yet hadn't done nothing. Naruto laid in the darkness of his room in his bed, playing that memory again in his head for the third time today. It had been so long since he had felt so lifeless. And outside looked lifeless. Morning has risen an hour ago, but yet, it had been cloudy since last night. A far cry from the usual weather in Kanahagakure. Usually, the sun was almost never obscured by clouds in the skies. Instead, it was a gloomy day in Kanahagakure, the day after where one of the greatest shinobi he knew died in a stupid invasion that was quelled in one day. The weather seemed to reflect that gloominess as well. There was no sun, and it was so dark outside. It looked like it wanted to rain, but it hadn't yet. The overcast weather had smothered Konoha's skies for a while now, and yet, it had yet to rain. He rather it came down already, and got it over with. Maybe if it rained, it would make him do the same too, because he couldn't cry. As much as he loved the old man, he could not cry. He wouldn't. There was too much pride in his soul, and he told himself a long time ago that crying didn't solve a damn thing. To get even, to avenge the old man, he would have to work twice as hard at becoming the Hokage, wouldn't he? Orochimaru, the snakefuck who killed the Sandaime, was dead himself, so there was no one to truly get revenge on. The best type of revenge now was to not let it shake him, and show the fuckers who had their hand in this, that they didn't defeat him. Besides, Sarutobi Gigi wouldn't have wanted Naruto being so down about things for long. He instead would have encouraged Naruto to get stronger, to be better, and to live his life the way he wanted it. Naruto had to grow up, accept that in this life, people died, and go on with his life. It would be a lesson he was sure he would have a very hard time learning. So much things he wanted, he never got. That's just how life was. He still didn't feel like he had a lot of energy to get up. Soon he would have to. It was just going to be hard seeing the guy who he looked up to as a grandfather in that coffin. He did have a funeral to attend to, after all. Shit, he didn't even own a damn black cloak, the thing people usually wore. Knock began at his door, and Naruto glazed his eyes over to the direction of his door. He would have ignored it, but then the knocks became more frequent and louder. Groaning, he got up from his place in his bed, and groused out, yeah. I'm coming. Hold your horses. Opening the door, he blinked as he stared at the people in front of him. Ah, Sakura-chan, Kakashi-sensei? You're here? Well, what do you expect, Naruto? Sakura questioned, looking annoyed at his question. He knew he'd seen Sakura about a few days ago, when the invasion was going on, but he hadn't really taken in her appearance. The first thing he noticed was her hair. Her hair was still in the same short cut, only most of her uneven edges and ends were cut properly. It was a far cry than it was in the Chunin Exams preliminaries. She looked nice though. She had on a light amount of makeup, eyeshadow, dressed in an, for lack of a better word, a nice black kimono, and the smell of her perfume entered his nose. You look nice, Sakura-chan. Naruto stated out loud, unabashedly. Sakura sighed tiredly, but didn't seem too irritated at that. Thank you, Naruto. Now, are we going to the funeral together or not? That was the reason we're here. Ah, yeah. Sorry about that, I just... Naruto trailed off, not knowing how to say what he wanted to say. Surprisingly, Sakura's eyes softened, and so did her voice. She knew how he felt about the Hokage. Naruto was, although strangely enough, very close to the Hokage, closer than anyone she knew. Just get your outfit on, idiot. The funeral is around 10, it's 8:30 now. Naruto looked sheepish. Well, I actually don't have any funeral clothing. The pink-haired girl's attitude immediately did a 180. How do you not have dash? Kakashi patted Sakura on the shoulder as a silent gesture to calm her down. It is not a problem, Naruto. All you really got to do is wear black. If we can't find you a traditional black kimono, we can always get you a nice black long-sleeve shirt and pants. Ah, okay. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto uttered, looking down. Sorry for being trouble, guys. It's no trouble at all. You haven't been to a funeral before. Kakashi stated, barely seeing Sakura's emerald eyes of realization, or all that caring about it. His temperamental student could be kind of inconsiderate sometimes, and sometimes not that thoughtful, despite her intelligence. Let's just get you something suitable to wear. Naruto nodded. Let me go throw on some clothing and we can go to the store. Sakura huffed and folded her arms. She looked vaguely embarrassed. Just hurry up then. The blonde nodded again and gestured them to come inside. It would have been the polite thing to do, even if his place wasn't in the best shape. I wasn't expecting company, so excuse how my apartment looks. Poof. You can at least attempt to clean up sometimes, Naruto. How come when I always come here, it looks like this place got hit by a tornado? The female teammate of Team Kakashi complained. Naruto smiled weakly, but did not respond to her comment. I'll be right back. When Naruto went into his room, Sakura was again patted on her shoulder by her teacher. Ease up on him, Sakura. He's going through mourning. We all are. My point still stands though. It looks gross in here. Sakura. Kakashi warned, looking at her with his one eye. The pink-haired Kunoichi flinched. I suppose I can drop it. Sakura sighed. Sorry then. Don't say sorry to me. You know who you should do so for. Kakashi pointed to Naruto's room with an index finger, while he pulled out his signature perverted orange book from his pocket. Sakura's face twitched in anger. You're asking for a whole lot, especially since you're reading that dirty stuff in front of me. When you get strong enough to stop me for doing so, then you can take it away from me, girly. Until then, sit back and wait for our Naruto, Kakashi responded. He then lifted a finger and flicked to the next page of his book. Sakura harumphed for the second time today. Folding her arms and pushing herself back into Naruto's couch, all she could do was ignore her teacher and wait for her knucklehead teammate to finish up getting dressed. With Naruto, he knew without looking too hard in his closet that he needed to go shopping today. Naruto truly had little articles of black. It didn't take him long before coming back in the living room and announcing that to his teammates. Kakashi merely nodded and said they would simply make a quick stop at the store. With that, Naruto went to gather some boxers, a clean white t-shirt, and other necessary toiletries in order to get himself washed up. Not wanting to waste time with a shower, he decided just to wash up in his sink. A bird bath it was, but it would be sufficient enough to get him clean. He threw on his jacket, which took something of a beating yesterday thanks to all the battling in the Chunin Exams tournament, the matching pants, and his black sandals, and walked out with his teammates. He was off duty, so he didn't have his headband. Sakura liked hers too, which was usually on top of her head, framing her hair like a hairband. Kakashi, like always, had his, but it was more to cover his Sharingan eye. His last teammate, Sasuke, was still in the hospital for broken ribs and other light injuries. So, there was no surprise he wasn't here. The walk to the store was a quiet one. Usually, he would try talking to his crush, Sakura, and convince her to go on a date with him, only to fail and get screamed at. He didn't have the energy for it today, though. Sakura also didn't bother talking to him. It was interesting. Despite being on a team with her, Sasuke, and Kakashi for months, going on a year now, the person he least spoke to outside of bothering her about going on a date with him was Sakura. Then again, what did they have to talk about? All he liked was training, getting stronger, and ramen. Sakura was, well, he didn't know what she liked, really. Maybe he should learn how to talk to her without doing all of that, eh? It didn't matter at this time anyway. It was something he noticed. He silently took what he needed when he entered the shop, and spent no time looking around for anything else. He took a black pair of pants that many Chunin and Jonin wore. Then, he took a black long-sleeve shirt. He didn't see a cloak, so he decided to forget about it, like Kakashi-sensei had stated before. It wasn't long before they proceeded to the place where they were holding the Hokage's funeral. The smell of incense was strong in the air of the outside funeral of the Sandaime Hokage. On top of the Hokage's office, at the academy of the village, hundreds of people of villager and ninja alike came to the funeral. All solemn and quiet, all dressed in black. Some were crying, even and most seemed to be younger children and females. Naruto thought he saw Konohamaru, but was glad he didn't have to see the young boy cry. It might have had a similar effect on him. So, a funeral. He had never gone to one before, and he never wanted to again. Though, a dark thought entered his head, it probably won't be the last. The beginning part of the funeral, Kakashi-sensei referred to it as a wake, was something to behold. The Hokage, dressed in a black kimono, arms folded over his chest, looked ever so vulnerable and pale. It was a far cry from what he remembered the man as. Sarutobi Gigi looked perhaps even older than he once did. It was hard seeing him like that. Memories of the old man's sunny disposition and lively self came to mind. He was truly gone. He was truly dead. Naruto's eyes burned again, but he didn't dare let anything show. None of it. He bit his lip hard and clenched his fist harder, but he wouldn't dare cry. He stood with his teacher and female teammate and watched others stand down nearby them too. In the same aisle, he seen a few people he knew. Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino came to view. Then, Kiba, Hinata, Shino, Rock Lee, Tenten, and of course, their asshole teammate, Niji. He merely glanced in their direction for a second, before turning back. If they've seen him, then that was fine. If not, that was fine too. He didn't care all that much. Man and Naruto believed it to be some sort of monk came in front, and said some choice words in a form of a prayer. The prayer sounded nice, but he was hardly paying attention to it. He felt heavy and dizzy, and honestly, wanted to go home. He didn't dare leave though. After the man said his words, he bowed to the crowd, and walked off. And with that, the gloomy, cloudy sky started to drizzle rain. The rain continued on to the next day. He woke up, and had his black shirt and black pants ready. Kakashi-sensei came to pick him up. Sakura-chan wasn't there. She went on ahead with the Yamanaka girl, Kakashi later explained, referring to Ino Yamanaka. He wasn't surprised to not see Sasuke. His other teammate was still not cleared from the hospital. Of course, it had only been a few days though since the invasion. Part 2 of the funeral commenced the next day, with people moving to put flowers at the podium where the Hokage's picture was at. They were pretty white flowers from the Yamanaka clan's shop. Chrysanthemums, Kakashi-sensei called them. The white stood for lamentation and grief. Kakashi had gotten some for him the other day, seeming to predict that he would need some for today. It was something he silently thanked his teacher for. He moved to put his flower to the podium, and then returned to his spot. Naruto stood near his former peers, and Konohamaru, who was bawling his eyes out. Iruka-sensei was there to comfort the boy, however, hugging him gently as he cried in his arms. Naruto didn't help comforting his younger friend. He had no energy for such. He couldn't wait to go home. His eyes were starting to hurt. Jiraiya himself came around to see the old man a while when the funeral was starting to close. A lot of people were there, and a lot were sorrowful. It just went to show you how much the Sandaime went and touched the hearts of these people. He just hoped he did the same. The Toad Sage sighed, somewhat in annoyance. All right. I suppose it's time to make my final decision, isn't it? He put his hands inside his pockets, and started walking towards the Hokage's suite in the academy. It was there he knew the elders would be at. Evening of the invasion of Kanahagakure by Oto and Tsunegakure. They had been running all evening in the deep forests of Hai no Kuni, trying desperately to get to the border and pass into Oto no Kuni. There, the jurisdiction of Konoha's Anbu ended. His lungs felt on fire, and his legs felt worse. All he wanted to do was go hide, and rest for the remainder of the night. Soon, he told himself. People were already clamoring on stopping for the night to rest. Feeling very tired himself, he told them to stop, much to everyone's relief. He had left them to decide who was going to keep the first watch, while he set himself in a tree to rest in. He let them because he was thinking about what to do next. He reviewed what he knew. Orochimaru was dead. He didn't see the Sound Four escape the village with them. Gaara, the Jinchuriki, from what he learned, was captured. The invasion was a failure. Other little tidbits he knew: Hai no Kuni was a huge country. Getting to the Valley of the End would take a few hours more, but they had already been exhausted. At this pace, Anbu would be on their asses soon, and no doubt they had the borders locked down. They had numbers and patrols all around the country, while Kabuto had men on their last fumes thanks to the battle they had been involved in earlier the day. This was truly going to be a problem for him. He was on the run, along with at least 30 other men, and had been on the run ever since he knew the battle was lost. When he heard Orochimaru was dead, he immediately booked it out of the village of Konoha. He knew that it was over. The ones who didn't run were probably quickly apprehended or killed, and Kabuto didn't like either fate for himself. So, he ran, and that was no easy feat. Others fled too, both Suna and Oto respectively, but the factions quickly spread out. Kabuto was followed by an entourage of men from Otogakure, and their numbers quickly dwindled, escaping Kanahagakure. Too many people had died for Kabuto to count, and many of them had to sacrifice themselves just so the others could escape, and according to the men, Kabuto was their leader and they could not afford to lose him. He didn't see it like that, but who was he to argue against their logic? It wasn't like it was going to stay like that. Orochimaru has fallen. Soon, Otogakure as well, Kabuto noticed immediately. The failure of the invasion of Kanahagakure left many of their men dead, and their leader was killed in action. While yes, Kanahagakure was weakened, so too was Otogakure by a huge margin as well. Kanahagakure may have lost their Kage, but they still had their leaders, while the ragtag village of Oto had lost the one thing keeping them glued together. Orochimaru was indeed that glue. The village of Oto was nothing more than several bases, places, and hideouts all around the continent that all swore allegiance to Orochimaru. The major hideout, the one Orochimaru once resided in, was in Oto no Kuni. It was where him, the Sound Four, formerly Sound Five, Kabuto himself, and the men and women they considered Orochimaru's strongest ninja, resided. More to the point, a lot of these ninjas here were Orochimaru's most loyal. So, when the news of Orochimaru's demise spread like wildfire and reached their ears, there was a lot of crying and anger going through the hearts of these men and women. Kabuto himself felt something. Perhaps not sadness or the need to mourn like some of these people here were doing, but something he felt. Orochimaru had been his mentor and leader for many years, the reason why he had survived for so long. He had helped him gain strength to become who he was today, and no one else could say the same. Orochimaru had sheltered him against the likes of Akatsuki, and the likes of Root. He was angry that Orochimaru lost indeed, and that Konoha had survived. However, he was angrier with Orochimaru than he was with the village he despised. Yes, most of what he was feeling about Orochimaru was anger. Orochimaru had lost to a supposed old, decaying fossil of a Hokage who was already past his prime. Perhaps with the help with Jiraiya, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the late Sandaime Hokages had a better chance of winning the battle, but Orochimaru had boasted many times to him that he was stronger than both of them combined. He stated that the old man and Jiraiya were like tadpoles, and he was that snake looking to eat them all. Kabuto actually believed the man too, but now knew that was nothing more than arrogance. Getting out of Hai no Kuni was almost impossible. Anbu patrolled everywhere. Things got bloody fast, too fast. If it wasn't for the help of some of his men, Kabuto would either end up dead, or worse, captured. He was too busy worrying about himself to be grateful, however. He felt nothing for Otogakure as a whole. All the people that were here he hated, and they hated him too. To Kabuto, there were two types of people here, and both types he hated, really. First of the types were the sycophants of Orochimaru. They were all fire and hatred against Orochimaru's foes, while Kabuto himself was too worried about how he was going to escape all of this. Kimimaro, Orochimaru's biggest follower, would want to stomp up to Konohagakure and burn their village down. It was a foolish endeavor. These were the type who wanted to keep fighting, even until their last breaths, not knowing when to retreat and fight another day. Kimimaro himself had nothing else to live for. Orochimaru was dead, and he was terminally ill, only surviving and breathing by Kabuto's help, and his own willpower alone. A lot of those men in Otogakure were like that. Orochimaru was almost like some sort of father figure to them, even though Kabuto had been close enough to the Snake Sage to know he thought of them as mere pawns, instead of his children. The other type of people there were the wildcards, the people who were only loyal to Orochimaru because he was the strongest. Many clans here were originally from the land Orochimaru conquered and ruled as his own with the name of Oto no Kuni. Orochimaru, before all of this begun, helped free a country from a big civil war that its lord, the daimyo, was doing nothing to stop. People got sick of the fighting, and only came together when Orochimaru united them. After that, Orochimaru's tyrannical rule began, and the people who were still weak and couldn't fight back only bowed and turned their heads for more abuse from their new master. He admitted to himself that he fitted more in this camp than the other, but he wasn't big on these people because they seemed like the type to only unite because they had no choice. Now that Orochimaru was dead, they had no person to leash them. They had no master, and things would get messy very soon indeed. Both sides would be at each other's necks soon, and Kabuto wanted no part of it. The death of Orochimaru would reach all the corners of the continent no later than a week. Everyone and their mother would know that Orochimaru was dead, surely. Orochimaru was seen as the big, bad boogeyman of the shinobi world, of course. Despised and hated by every nation out there, and a big danger to anyone who encountered him, he was on everyone's, for lack of a better word, shit list. Now that the Snake Sage was dead, his enemies would now focus on getting revenge. Word had gotten out that Orochimaru had his own personal village. How long it would be until Orochimaru's enemies came down on them? So, he knew what he had to do. Run until he could not run anymore. Hide amongst the crowds if need be. Don't make the obvious trek towards Oto no Kuni because they knew that's where they hailed from. There was no one he could truly rely upon anymore. The one person who could protect him was dead. Kabuto could not rely on those people like Orochimaru had come to control like pawns. He could not get them to follow him. He lacked that sort of charisma that his master had. There was nothing Kabuto could do but run. Once again, he was alone in this world. In Konohagakure, 2 days after the funeral of the third Hokage, 1 week after the invasion of Konohagakure, Kakashi made it his personal own mission to give both Sakura and Naruto some time off and cancelled the team meetings. They could have met, even with Sasuke not being there and still recovering in the hospital, but he didn't force them. Hell, he needed the break from the norm too. This week had certainly gotten crazy. Kakashi had lost people that he had known personally in the surprise attack by Oto and Suna. He had learned, however, to accept these sorts of things a long time ago. However, he felt an urge to go see how the blonde boy was doing. Out of all of them, Naruto was the most devastated by the death of the Sandaime Hokage. It wasn't hard to see Naruto looked up to the late Hokage as something of a grandfather. So, he gave his team and himself a break, but it wasn't for long, at least, not for him. Even with the Hokage being dead, the mission assignment desk did not sleep. He assumed, by default, the village elders Hamura Mitokado and Koharu Udatane were running the village by themselves until the next Hokage was assigned. That meant the mission desk was still active. However, he did not expect being called into the office personally. In fact, an ANBU he knew came to his house to retrieve him. Kakashi Hatake, you have been requested to be in the Hokage's office in 10 minutes. However, I know your track record of being late, so I came to see you. Hataki-senpai. Ah, Yugo. How are you doing today? Kakashi asked, almost lethargically, putting away his book. He looked at the purple-haired woman behind the cat-like white ANBU mask she had been assigned to. Been run ragged? Nothing I can't handle, senpai. Kakashi nodded. She sounded exhausted. You're doing okay? Fine, sir. She curtly said, and Kakashi left at that. He knew she wasn't doing good. It was kind of a stupid question, and Kakashi felt regretful of asking, really. Her lover had died a month before the attack on Konoha, and then the attack probably left her with fewer friends around. He also had no type of business asking. He cared, but he was not the type to pry into other people's business if they weren't willing to let him in. Or rather, if he didn't see it as necessary. If it was one of his students, well, that was different. You said the office wanted to see me? Yes. Come with me. You are expected very soon. Let me gather my things first, he requested. He disappeared into his bedroom before hearing any sort of reply from her, however. It wasn't like his junior was going to protest against it. He wasn't in his on-duty attire anyway. Changing out of his blue sweats and a matching t-shirt, he put his navy blue long shirt, his blue pants, and his flak jacket on. He grabbed his fingerless gloves, slipped into his sandals, and put his kunai and shuriken pouches on. Placing his blue headband on as his accustomed makeshift eye patch to cover up and seal the Sharingan eye. No need to find his face mask, because he already had it on. Alright, it's time to go then. He stepped back into his living room and walked up to his former junior in the ANBU, who was standing patiently with her hands behind her back. He glanced at her for a moment. Professional, and more importantly, very strong, Yuga Yuzuki really took her job seriously than most members of the force, and they were all a serious group of fellows, really. She never complained about her job. With a clean, good service history with little to no fuck-ups, polite, and strong, she would go places. In fact, it surprised him that she wasn't a leader of her own squad as of yet. That would probably change soon enough. She had the markings of an ANBU captain. Ready to go? He merely nodded, and she stepped closer to him and put a gloved hand on his shoulder. In a flash, they were in front of the door of the Hokage office. The two stepped through the doors, and Kakashi saw the two elders inside. Kakashi immediately went on one knee and bowed to the two leaders of the village. They both sent him a quick nod of their heads. Thank you, Nico 24. That will be all. Yuga nodded at the two elders, and merely inclined her head at Kakashi's direction, before disappearing into a plume of smoke. Yuta Tain-sama. Mito Kato-sama. You wanted to see, my lords? Kakashi asked, though it was more rhetorical. They wouldn't have sent him here otherwise. Not us. The Hokage wanted to see you. Hamura corrected, and Kakashi watched as the chair behind the office desk turned around dramatically. Actually, why was the chair big like that? He didn't remember the Sandaime Hokage having such a large. Yo! How's it going, kid? A boisterous voice said, and Kakashi's eyes widened as Jiraiya, the Toad Sage, came to view. Jiraiya-sama, you're the Hokage? Well, soon to be. Jiraiya clarified, grunting a little. I'm still in the transition of power. Kakashi blinked for a moment with his good eye, before nodding slowly. It didn't change anything. There was still something he was here for. How can I serve you, my lord? Straight to business, eh? Very well. I am assigning you to do two things for me. One must be finished today. This is relatively important, so you'll be receiving B-rank pay for this. That must have meant something that involved leaving Konohagakure. Kakashi nodded. I accept. First, I want you to go and deliver a scroll for me to one Naruto Uzumaki. I'm sure you know of him. Jiraiya grinned. I would do it myself, but I'm, well, busy. Kakashi was confused. B rank pay for something as simple as giving a scroll to a resident of the village who was currently in it? Why get him, and not some Chunin? Besides that, it sounded somewhat strange to Kakashi. What did Jiraiya want with Naruto? Though, he knew of Jiraiya's connection to Naruto. He was Naruto's father's mentor after all, and a close person to the Yondaime Hokage. Still, what exactly did Jiraiya want with him? Time will only tell, really. It shall be done. Kakashi was handed the scroll by Koharu, and he stood up. It was rude to ask anything he was curious about. Time will tell what exactly was this all about. I'll give him the scroll, sir, as soon as I am allowed to leave from here. Good, good. The sooner Naruto gets the scroll the better. Jiraiya leaned back in his big chair comfortably. Second, I'm assigning you a mission in a few days along with a team of Jonin and a team of ANBU. That sounded even more serious. What's the mission? Well, as you know, we recently have been attacked by the Suna and Oto. Amidst the battle, we managed to take in some POWs. More specifically, some of the POWs happened to be the children of the former Kazekage. Kakashi nodded solemnly. He could guess what was going to happen next. You will be going, along with some other shinobi, to escort Elder Koharu and Elder Hamura to Sunagakure to work out a negotiation. As you know as well, we're moving some heavy cargo here. Namely, a hostile Jinchuriki. Gaara, right? Kakashi knew who exactly that was. He nodded silently and allowed Jiraiya to finish up. Meet your assigned team in front of the gate in 4 days from here at 0500 HRS sharp. This mission is imperative. Don't be late. The Toad Sage stared at the silver-haired Jonin sternly. Kakashi wondered if everyone and their mother knew about his track record of being late to things. He withheld a sigh. Yes, sir. Alrighty then. I have nothing more for you now. You are dismissed and off duty for the rest of the day. As soon as you're finished with your business with the kid on your team. Jiraiya stated, turning a grimace at the stacks of paper on his left side of the desk, something Kakashi had just noticed. Ah, man, look at all these damn villager concern forms I got to see to. Kakashi felt sorry for the man. This was going to be a lot on his mantle. After all, how would he get the time to finish the next Ika novel? Did that mean that they were cancelled? Oh man, life was already hard. What would the point be living without his favorite perverted book? The title of Hokage sounded like a hassle. He was glad they never asked him though. In an underground prison facility in Konoha. He sat in a room, seals tattooed across his skin, not able to mold his chakra in the slightest. Although there were no chains keeping him tattered, he felt like a slave the dog chained to his leash by its owner. He was without his gourd, without his sand, without the voice constantly in his head. Gaara had gotten perhaps great nights of sleep for the past week. Without Shikaku to gnaw at his mind, he slept for a long time. He was sure he slept for a whole day and a half when he first slept. He did not know what they did to him, but in a way, he was glad. Somewhat. Maybe. He didn't know what to feel, honestly. Sleep had indeed had its benefits. It made everything clear to him, it made him think. It made him afraid. The urge to kill everything in sight was gone. Rather, a large amount of loneliness fell over him, and he knew the reason why. Truly, without that thing in his head, the monster who insisted on being called mother, constantly there, directing him to kill this and kill that, he felt alone. He hadn't felt alone for the past few years. Even when he believed he had no one but to rely on but himself in this accursed world, he knew that his inner demon protected him from anything. It seemed almost like that nightmarish time before he had known how different he was compared to the world, how much people hated him for something his father and mother implanted in him a long time ago. Speaking of his father, the man he hated the most in this world, Gaara remembered them telling him that the man was dead. The man parading around as Kazekage in the Chunin Exams was nothing more but that snake man, Orochimaru, who was also dead. Gaara didn't even blink twice when they told him that his father was dead. To him, it was good. That wretched man would not be missed, especially it was him who sent people after Gaara to kill him all those times. He, who even if he did not set up those assassinations on him, never tried to stop them. Raza, the late Yondaime Kazekage, was not a man who was warm and loving to his children. He was a man who valued the village more than his own flesh and blood, who did not impart knowledge to his children but rather scrolls and jutsu and told them to study. Gaara never even lived in the same house of his father, or at least, he didn't remember doing so. All he could remember is his father's spiteful words to him, "Do not fail me, Gaara," before he was shipped out to this village, to partake in this exam, to act as a catalyst to a war in which they did not win. Yes, Gaara had failed here in Konohagakure. He had lost to a mere man. Granted, that man had been one of Konohagakure's legendary Sannin, but Gaara had once thought he was one of the strongest shinobi in the world. That type of arrogance had cost him, and now, he was here, instead of being in Suna. He thought, with Shikaku, he was invincible, but he wasn't. He was weak. How? Fighting for oneself, believing in oneself, was there a flaw there? It has been a doctrine he had known for a very long time since his once beloved uncle, Yashimaru, tried killing him. It was something he carried since that fateful day when he lost his mind, when he did not care for anyone anymore, when he had love ripped away from him. Fighting, shedding another's blood, hearing their fear instead of feeling their hatred for him was what made him content. It kept him from being that little boy whose hopes for the world were blown away by a person who strapped many types of explosive tags on him. However, as proven a week ago, and by his capture, he was weak, as still as weak as he once was when he was a child. The power of the Ichibi was not the key to Gaara's strength. How could he get stronger? He could not rely on simply his sand and his inner demon anymore. There had to be a secret to that strength that Jiraiya wielded. Yes, he supposed decades of experience compared to his meager 13 years of life. Even the boy, despite his efforts to kill him being useless, had been able to survive him. How could Gaara come to obtain that strength that he wanted? Well, he had time to think, didn't he? He wasn't going anywhere, anytime soon. Naruto was getting sick of the moping he was doing in his house and decided to hit up the training grounds. It had been a while since he felt the need to train, but he truly needed to break his little pity party at home. He didn't want to feel miserable anymore, so he needed something to take his mind off his problems. The only thing he could think of that would satisfy him was getting somewhere with his training, or at least going through what he learned, and keeping them solidified. He had yet to see if he could find Ebisu sensei, so continuing his training in Earth Release Ninjutsu wasn't happening anytime soon. All he really could do was keep on practicing what he knew. So, he went through the exercises he learned before. He bent down to one knee, anchored his chakra to the ground, and pulled slowly, scooping up the dirt. Then, with the same hand, he twisted and moved his chakra to shape the dirt. He paced himself. He didn't try doing it too fast and instead concentrated on making the first shape he wanted to make, the triangle. It was the first exercise he remembered performing before with Ebisu sensei. An equilateral triangle sat in his right hand. Remembering the lesson on compression and expansion, Naruto decided what to do next in his little refresher exercises on his earth chakra training from the previous month before the Chunin Exams. He took the triangle and moved his chakra all across the body of the dirt triangle. Slowly, and steadily do so. There is no need to rush it, he told himself. Next, he started to pack it all together, pressing and squeezing his chakra, turning the triangle's dirt into stone. Soon, he had a flat triangular shape that looked akin to something you could throw at someone. Compression, complete. He then rearranged the chakra, and spread it out again, like it was a bunch of particles he was moving from each other. This was expansion. The lesson of expansion was easy when you got compression down, but it was something you had to be wary of, compared to compression. Breaking about and spreading around his chakra in an object could potentially burst the object. How did he know of this? Well, he got a full demonstration of it himself when the exercise blew up in his face before literally. He still remembered Ebisu sensei laughing his stupid ass off at him, and telling him he needed to go clean his face. Naruto watched the dirt successfully contract, and what he got was the soft triangle of dirt he had at the beginning of this exercise. Then he turned the dirt shapeless again and molded it into a rectangle. Tried compression, succeeded, tried contraction, and succeeded in that too. Then he turned it back into a rectangle with no hardness, and then the dirt became shapeless again. Then he repeated the dirt triangle again and did the steps before trying the rectangle once more. It was quite the show, albeit one Naruto was getting tired of doing after the 6th time he did so. However, he managed to impress someone because not long after attempting the 7th time of the exercise, he heard a whistle. Wow, and that's what Ebisu's been teaching you, eh? That's pretty advanced for most genin. Naruto turned and saw his teacher wave at him from a tree. Yo, Naruto. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto replied simply with a nod. He temporarily forgot about his exercise, and released the dirt from his hands, as it slumped back into the earth, where it came from. What are you doing here? Looking for you, obviously. Oh, did we have a team meeting today? No. We won't be meeting up, at least until Sasuke finished recovering up in the hospital. So, perhaps next week if he is cleared up. We won't be taking missions either until he comes back. Kakashi waved his concerns away. No. I was sent by the Hokage to look for you. Naruto frowned a bit at that. He had yet to meet the new Hokage. Actually, he never even knew they already elected a new one already. What for? To deliver this scroll to you. Kakashi presented such a thing, which added to Naruto's confusion. Naruto's teacher jumped from his spot in a tree and then stepped near towards Naruto. Here you go. Naruto blinked and scratched his head. He grabbed the scroll and placed it in his jacket's pocket. Thanks. An awkward silence began between the two. Naruto had nothing much to say to his Jonin teacher at all. Was there anything to say? He didn't think so. He felt fine, he wanted to continue practicing his ninjutsu, and that's it. But Kakashi didn't let it go. So, do you need some help with your training? No thanks, sensei. Besides, I'm at a part where I need Ebisu-sensei to go over the next part of my training anyway. It doesn't look like what you are doing is hard. I can help you with your training if you give me the specifics of what you need help with. The silver-haired Jonin insisted. Don't you got other things to do today? Naruto quirked an eyebrow up. Nope, I don't got other things to do today, Kakashi teased, a smile hidden under his mask. I'm pretty much off duty, and I have a lot of time to help you. That brought a bitter thought in Naruto's head. Oh, you got time to help me now? Naruto sucked in some air to calm himself down. Don't worry about it. I was just going over what I learned from Ebisu-sensei last month. Want to learn something new with your birth-release ninjutsu? Not today, sensei. Kakashi finally sighed, and crossed his arms, looking like he had enough of this beating around of the bush. I get it, Naruto. You're still mad at me. No. I can see it in your eyes. The older male shook his head. You know why I had to do it, Naruto. I was assigned to train Sasuke for the month. Yeah, and you decided also it was worth more to train him for the month, instead of sparing some time on me. I was in the tournament too, you know? Naruto held a hand to his chest, anger now starting to course through him. Instead, you said no, you doubted me, you thought I wouldn't make it, like the rest of these dickheads out here. You said my skills were subpar, and I needed a lot to get better, and that hurt, man. I expected all these other people to say it, but for my own teacher to say that. Fuck yeah, I'm mad at you. You proved yourself to be just like the rest of the people in the village. Look at what I did to show you that I'm not the same deadlast you knew 6 months ago, sensei. I got far in the finals of the exams. I beat Niji, and that Sand Village girl too. I even fought the guy that Sasuke was supposed to fight. I did everything you thought I wasn't going to do. What do you gotta say to that? You're right, Naruto. Huh? Instead of trying to defend himself, Kakashi went for a surprise move. You're right. I should have done something to help you besides sending you off with Ebisu. You were in the tournament, and I should have done something. I regret telling you those things last month. It wasn't something a teacher should tell his student, to let his own student know that he didn't think he was going to go far in the exams. It was completely dick-headed of me to go about that in such a way. In fact, you deserve the right to be mad at me. You have every right to do so, but look at what you've done. You went far in the exams. Farther than me or anyone would have expected, and I have seen your matches on a replay they allowed us Jonin to watch. You were spectacular. You defeated Niji with such mastery of the Doton, Mogirigakur no Jutsu. You made Tamari's main form of attack useless. You did well against Gaara as well, despite his status as a Jinchuriki. I think out of all of its contestants in that contest, you have the greatest chance of being promoted, Naruto. In my eyes, you have done very well, and shaped up so much since the last month we spoke. You're not the brash, headstrong kid I knew for 6 months. You're growing to something more. I can't ask you to forgive me, but all I can do now is to help you move forward. In a way, I'm glad I sent you off with Ebisu. He helped you shape up nicely. Beyond the scope of doing just the basics with you, you have accomplished learning how to use your elemental affinity in battle, learned a handful of ninjutsu, and have become stronger in your own way. All because you didn't stop believing in yourself. I'm proud of you. Kakashi finished, smiling under his mask. Naruto felt many things from Kakashi's words. He felt happiness for the acknowledgement of his teacher. He craved for more. He felt embarrassment for such. He was annoyed that words like that could somewhat be making his anger go away. Finally, that lingering anger remained for Kakashi's past actions. It wouldn't go away. He kept being reminded of such. Maybe he shouldn't be pissed about it though. After all, in the end, he got what he wanted. He wanted to be stronger, he wanted to do great on the exams, and he did do so. Though, that was the point. He has gotten stronger. Because of a person he wouldn't have dreamed learning from or caring to do so. He didn't get help from his teacher, and his teacher thought he wasn't even worth the effort. Yeah, that's what exactly he was pissed about. He wasn't worth the effort. Naruto growled, clenching his fist tightly, and he refused to meet his teacher's eye. No teacher should doubt their student. You're absolutely right. I should have not. I'm still pissed at you, damn it. As you should be, Naruto, Kakashi said gently. Naruto growled again. Just stop it, already. Stop trying to get me to stop being mad at you, and forgive you quickly, because I won't. In the end, I just want Ebisu-sensei to help me out with this stuff. Everything else, I'll leave it to you to teach me. Hopefully, you'll keep your word, but it ain't just about me. What about Sakura-chan too? She needs help with her training, she could have gotten seriously hurt in the invasion just like Sasuke did. You want me to be not pissed at you? Okay. There's a way to do that, but it goes beyond me. Me and my team need you to stop being lazy, get off your ass, and train us the right way. No running off to train Sasuke alone. No more just giving us training in the tree climbing exercise. No more telling us we need to work on our teamwork, especially when we work just fine together. We need to get trained. That's my word of advice to you. Kakashi looked at him with his one good eye and nodded at him slowly. A good piece of advice indeed. Kakashi then turned away from his student. I'll leave you alone for now. Naruto merely grunted and listened to his teacher walk away. A minute later, he finally turned to check if the Jonin was gone. Satisfied that the man was indeed gone, or seemed to be, Naruto released a breath of air. That was completely awkward as hell, but he was glad he got some things off his chest. Maybe he shouldn't have been so angry, but still. Arg, why does this shit gotta be so complicated, man? He shook his head. I can't concentrate enough to practice my earth release. Maybe I should call it a day. He then remembered what his teacher gave him and pulled out the scroll out of his jacket's pocket. He stared at the thing for a few seconds. Why the hell did the Hokage want to give me this? Well, there was only one way to find out, and since he said he didn't want to train anymore, it was time to head back into town. Maybe get something to eat, and go back home for some rest and relaxation. It was already 5 in the afternoon already, and nothing much was happening today. It was kind of unlike him to call it a day so early, especially when he was getting back into his training, but today had a lot of emotional crap shitted on him. Yeah, he should call it a day. The next day. Naruto figured he should have read the scroll yesterday, but after he ate dinner and returned home, he went quickly to sleep. He was really tired for some reason, so he turned in early and woke up just as early. The village wasn't burning down, so he figured it was okay that he didn't exactly jump up and look at the scroll in question. After he finished washing up, eating, and cleaning up his house until it finally hit 11:30 in the morning, he finally stopped procrastinating, sat down in his living room, and opened up the scroll addressed to him. If the Hokage wanted to give this to him, this had to have some great deal of importance. Then he felt like a complete dumbshit when he realized the Godame Hokage sent this to him was merely passing off a scroll originally written by the Sandaime Hokage. Dear Naruto, I hope this letter finds you well. If you are receiving this letter, well, I guess you know what it means. As cliché as it sounds, it is very true. For that, I am sorry. I'm sorry because I will not watch you grow to be the shinobi I know you will be. I am sorry for being able to assign that first mission to you as a Chunin and watch you complain verily because I was giving you a C-rank mission. I could imagine you growling angrily at me, and me attempting, and failing, to not laughing. I would say, Naruto, my boy, this mission is to simply get your feet wet, and you would respond that you already are ready. Then, you would complete it, flawlessly, and come back for some more. Then, I would be there to see that you got your first B-rank mission. Naruto shook his head, smiling despite feeling very sad at the moment. Yeah, that sounded exactly how they would be. God, he missed the old man already. I'm sorry because I will not be able to see you become the man I know you will be. Hokage, what a hell of a goal to accomplish, son, but, somewhere in my heart, I always knew you would be. It's in your blood to be, I always believed it. Yes, I can already imagine your head swelling over that. Perhaps I will let you get away with that. Truth be told, Naruto, there is so much I seen out of you. It is just merely unfortunate how things had to go or will be. No matter. You will be strong, with or without me being there. You will follow your dreams and gain what you want whether or not I can see it. Still, it pains me to not be there, as I do believe it will for you. I'll make you proud, old man, Naruto whispered to himself, scrubbing his eyes. So, I will make it up to you. That line had Naruto scratch his head in confusion. Make, what up to me, old man? Dying? It ain't your fault. You have noticed a few markings on this paper, have you not, Naruto? One of the seals were created so you, and only you could read it. You will not believe it, but I needed to make it so. There are people out there that will do you harm should they learn of what we speak of, or rather, what you will learn from this scroll soon enough. The seal on the top of the scroll was keyed to your DNA, the second seal on the bottom left corner of the scroll is also keyed to your DNA. Please, activate it. Naruto wondered how the hell would he do that? This didn't exactly come with instructions. Or did it? Naruto read further and saw in parentheses, note, place your hand onto the seal and feed it chakra, Naruto. Oh. Damn it, old man. Making me feel stupid. Naruto smirked, however, and placed his hand on the seal. Placing some of his chakra, the seal glowed brightly for a second and then disappeared before new text appeared on the scroll. Ah, you have activated the second seal. Excellent. We have much to discuss, my boy. First, there is someone you must seek out in this village. He is a man I wanted you to meet for a while now. Do not worry about how long it will take for you to seek him out, he will be at a place you will never miss. His name is Jiraiya. I do not know if you have studied about him in your classes, or rather if you remember such studies, but if you have, you should know who he is. He will be your mentor for the time being, besides Kakashi. Second, you must know of an organization who is dangerous to people of your status. I trust you know what I mean. Ugh, he was talking about being the container of that thing inside of him, wasn't he? There were people after him because of it? My life always got some problem to it, doesn't it? Their name is the Akatsuki, and although information about them is scarce, one thing about them is certain: they are dangerous. A group of several S-rank missing Nins, they are a terrorist group bent on capturing tailed beasts, by force. Yes, you can see now why they are dangerous, do you not? Terrorists capturing tailed beasts around the world for whatever purpose they have in mind is indeed a scary thought, and you are as much in danger as I am making it sound like. And I have the belief that they can accomplish this goal. Thus, I ask of you one thing that you must promise me, Naruto. You must promise me never to seek out these men on your own, without any backup. I do not care if you are or believe you are the strongest shinobi of the village. These boogeymen of the shinobi world rely heavily on teamwork. They work in two-man cells, and their skills complement their partners. Always have someone to back you up if you must fight these people. Sheesh. If these people had the Hokage scared of them, then shit, he would definitely not even bother trying to think about these people. Fuck that noise. Unfortunately, I believe you must eventually fight these people soon enough. My nugget of advice to you, my boy? Get stronger quickly. You have little time now for acting like a child, as horrible as it sounds. Not to mention, I believe you will not even get the chance to. That vest that they put on people is, technically, supposed to make you an adult at this point. All jesting aside, I am serious. Old man, I was already planning on getting stronger, Databeo. Naruto shouted back at the scroll. Stop nagging me from the grave, gosh. I imagine, however, you would be saying something like, old man, I was already planning to get stronger, gosh. Naruto sputtered in shock. Was the man psychic? And I would be laughing my head off because of it. I know you will. As I said before, it's in your blood to do so. With the help of your teachers, I'm sure you will. It's a pity that I will not be around to see it. But perhaps, I can help you with it. If you haven't figured it out, I have another 3 miniature seals under this passage. Press them, and you'll receive something else that I leave with you. Another seal will appear to the bottom right corner of the scroll that has nothing to do with the gift I give you. Instead, it is more information about another topic. However, I have made something of a challenge for you. This will be, in a way, a test to see whether or not you are truly strong enough to handle the world. In order to unlock some of the seals I have on this scroll, you must learn how to use Fuinjutsu. You must learn how to unravel these seals yourself. These seals are all key to your DNA. Getting someone else to undo the seal will not work, so no shortcuts to this. It may seem like a pain, but I believe it will be worthwhile to you. For now, I ask you to look at the gifts I give you. Activate the seal that looks similar to the one before, Naruto. Ah, more seals, eh? Hell, this thing had a lot of similar looking seals that he could read on. Some were very different, so he was guessing those were the ones who held information he couldn't get just yet. This was like some sort of complex game that the old man made. Though, for a guy who was nicknamed the Professor, stuff like this was like second nature to him. He had to put Fuinjutsu as one of the many things he had to learn on his list now. For now, he should activate one of the seals he made on the scroll available to him at usage. Yes. This is one of the 5 ninjutsu I have stored information about on this scroll. That is 5 ninjutsu I hope that will come to serve you well like they have done for me. Train well. Ninjutsu 1, D-. Knock began at his door, taking him out of the reading of the scroll. Scrubbing his eyes, and wrapping up the scroll, he got up from his position on the table and walked to the front door. He wondered who the hell was it bothering him on his day off. Last time he checked, Kakashi-sensei said until Sasuke recovered from the hospital and was ready to leave, Team Kakashi wouldn't be taking any sort of missions as something that, after yesterday, he decided he was going to enjoy. He doubted Kakashi-sensei would be actively trying to seek him out after yesterday either. As soon as he opened the door, he was surprised to see a familiar face waiting outside for him, more specifically, his former teacher. "Oh, Irika-sensei. What's up?" His teacher smiled at him. "Hello, Naruto. Actually, I'm here for you." "What do you need me for? Ramen?" "No. You're due in the Hokage's office in a few minutes." Naruto scratched his head. "Yeah, the new Hokage. Right. They appointed one already." Then again, it made sense. I mean, with Sarutobi Gigi dead, well, they needed a new Hokage quickly. I wonder what he's like or if I know them. Naruto returned from his thoughts to reality and nodded at Irika. "All right. Let me throw on my jacket, and we can go." Irika nodded back at him. "I'll wait outside." "I won't be long, sensei." With that, Naruto turned back inside and closed the door. At the Ninja Academy, the Hokage's suite. The first thing that will happen now, Jiraiya, is the immediate contacting of the daimyo, and announce that the next Hokage has been chosen. Preparations for the inauguration will commence today. Yes, yes. Jiraiya waved lazily, sitting down on a large pillow in the room, listening to the old coots Koharu Utatane and Hamura Mitokado already bark instructions out to him. He sipped on a cup of water briefly before commenting again. Not a fan of big ceremonies and whatnot, but if it can't be helped. Take this more seriously, Jiraiya, Hamura scolded. This has been a tradition since the days of the Shodai. Aoba, Ganma, Koharu called out flatly, and behind her, two shinobi appeared, crouched, and awaiting orders. Here, Kohara-sama. Both men declared. Issue a notice to those in the village about the matter of Jiraiya-sama's inauguration. In 2 days, the inauguration will happen. Yes, madam. And the two disappeared again with the work of the Shunshin no Jutsu. Jiraiya merely drank from his cup of water, and when it was empty, refilled it. He listened almost absently to the elders ranting, telling him all the information he needed to know about his appointment to being the Hokage. Already, he was starting to feel a headache. He was hoping the soothing cool water would do something to calm him down, but that wasn't the case at all. This was a lot of crap to just get the job, really. He almost wished he actually stuck to his plan to go get Tsunade, but he also knew this was all for the best. The past few days have really stuck with him. He truly needed to do this. Who else was qualified to do this? There was only him, and the other choice, and we couldn't have that, could we? When the elders were finished, he immediately left the room to stretch his legs and walked to the outside balcony. He watched the village silently, breathing in and out as he took in the air. Oh, this was going to become very, very annoying soon. As he thought it would be like, he and politics did not click at all. Just hearing the elders bark orders at him was annoying. He can imagine how that would be like for the next years to come. Fun, fun. He would have to take in whatever amount of respite he could get with this new job of his. Man, being the Hokage would, no doubt, suck complete ass. Lot was left at his feet, it seemed. Sarutobi-sensei really has given me a lot of BS to deal with. I got the Sunagakure thing to deal with, and their Jinchuriki and his siblings are currently our prisoners of war. Then, we got to broker some sort of treaty with them. There's no way I'm going to war with that country. We don't need war, especially with that organization running around trying to capture you know what. Then, I got these old people to deal with too who seems to love bossing me around, and I haven't had the job for even 2 weeks. The white-haired man scratched the back of his head, huffing hot air out of his mouth. I got like 99 problems right now. Damn, why the hell did I want this job when I was a kid? Oh, right, I was a kid. Sheesh. Minato wanted this? How the hell did he do it? Of course, he was always the responsible one. He loved this job to the fullest, that kid. He smiled, melancholy flowing inside of him. Spirits knew how he missed his late student. It looked like he had to pick off where his student and teacher left off at, and be the damn best leader this village could get right now. At least until my godson gets to sit in the grand seat. Ah, speaking of him, he should be swinging around here soon. And as soon as he thought that, the male elder, Hamura, had stepped onto the balcony, clearing his throat to get the sage's attention. Jiraiya knew it was time. Naruto walked with his teacher, speaking about a myriad of things that really didn't matter all too much to him. He was too busy being anxious about what the hell the new Hokage wanted with him to have any sort of small talk. Maybe it really was someone he knew. However, as soon as he stepped into the room where the Hokage resided at in the daytime when he was not at the mission assignment desk, he saw only two people there, and they weren't at the desk. Instead, two old people stood where the Hokage's desk was at, looking at him with a stern look on their faces, and their arms crossed behind their backs. One nodded at him and politely said, "Good afternoon, Umano-sensei, Uzumaki-kun." "Good afternoon, Mitokado-sama and Utatane-sama," Irika bowed and said back. Naruto followed suit with a bow respectful enough to not be considered rude. "Good afternoon." Naruto twitched as he heard movement behind him. The door opened behind him, and who stepped through was not the Hokage but Shikamaru Nara, and someone who looked like him a lot, only with more scars and a goatee. The man was wearing the standard flak vest most Chunin and Jonin wore. Naruto assumed it was Shikamaru's father, as he saw the nearly identical son follow in after him. He relaxed quickly. "Yo, Shikamaru." His lazy peer nodded at him. "Naruto, Irika-sensei, good afternoon." "And an afternoon to you too, elders," Shikamaru's father uttered, sending the two old people a bow before stepping further into the room with his son. "Shall we be meeting the Hokage today?" "Yes, he will be back momentarily." He went outside to stretch his legs. The old woman spoke up, sending a gaze to Shikamaru, and then to the blonde boy. Naruto felt himself straighten up and stiffen. There was something about her look that seemed to be judging him. Though, she seemed to be satisfied when he was no longer slumped. The door opened after 2 long minutes, and Naruto watched someone new walk through the office. Much to his surprise, he believed he did meet this man. Wasn't this yes? He did see this man before. The old coot from that one time a few weeks ago, at Ichiraku. What was his name again? Ah, he didn't remember, sadly. He was more focused on his training from before. Still, though, who the hell was this guy? And why is he staring at me specifically? The white-haired man came to sit down the desk of the Hokage, and Naruto knew this guy was the Godame Hokage. "Ah, a good walk, a good walk." "Yes, afternoon everyone." "Good afternoon," was the collective response of everyone in the room. "Yes, I know some of you here are wondering why you are here, especially in the middle of the day, and some of you haven't had your lunches yet." Oh yeah, that was true. That was something Naruto was gripping about to Irika-sensei earlier during their walk to the academy. "I won't take much of your time, but before we get into the reason why you're here, let me introduce myself." The man then stood no, jumped no, flew out his seat, and did the strangest thing Naruto would have ever seen a Hokage did. He did some sort of pose where he was hopping on one foot, hand saluting them, and music of the fuck started playing from seemingly nowhere. "I am the gallant, supreme shinobi who has no equal. Mistrength is on a fat can move mountains. When I step into a battlefield, the enemies literally shit themselves unconscious. You best watch your boys, your women, and your daughters, because I'll snatch them right up. I am the gallant panty dropper, Gamasenin no Jiraiya." After the music ended, silence followed. No one in the office said a word. All of the people there stared forward. For the elderly folk behind Jiraiya, they glared forward. Actually, they glared specifically at Jiraiya. Jiraiya must have noticed, because then he coughed and sat back down in his chair. "Ah, yeah, that's my intro." Finally, Naruto could not take it anymore and literally fell down, holding his belly in pain as he howled in laughter. Tears, literal tears, started rolling down his cheeks. Ah ha 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 ha. Oh, my fucking god. I can't. Ah ha 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 ha. Irika-sensei, help me please. I've fallen and can't get back up. Naruto's eyes were closed, but he can hear voices. Naruto, get back up, damn it. You're being embarrassing. Well, at least someone liked my intro. We told you not to do this, Jiraiya-sama, and you did it anyway. I feel a migraine coming on. Troublesome. Why the hell did we have to come here, Dad? Hush now, Shika. You know you were ready to laugh your ass off too. SSNRK. Not true at all. Naruto felt himself being pulled up. He gave no sort of resistance, finally opening his eyes to see everyone staring at him. His laughter died down. He cleared his throat, his smile wiped off his face. So, what are we here for, old coot? Jiraiya growled immediately. Who ya calling an old coot, brat? You. I remember you from that other day at Ichiraku's. What did I tell you before? You ain't getting my respect until you earn ga. Damn it, that hurts. Naruto, shut up now. Irika gritted his teeth, smashing a hand into Naruto's blonde locks. The Hokage guffawed. Well then, I guess even as Hokage, I'm not entitled to your respect, eh? Well, like I said, I like your spunk. However, you might want to change your tune when I present you your Chunin vest. Naruto stilled and looked up. Wait, what? Yes. You asked why you're here, right? Well, I'm telling you. You're getting a promotion, both of you, really. Troublesome. Shikamaru sighed. Damn, I knew it. We're getting promoted? Who? Yes. Fuck yeah. Naruto. Irika winced at the childishness his former student was showing. Not to mention that crassness was unbecoming, no doubt offending both the Hokage and the two village elders. Calm down already. Jiraiya chuckled again. No. Let the little guy let it out. I know how it feels to get that promotion and being gobsmacked about it. It'll fade soon. Hokage-sama, Shikamaru raised his hand, not looking pleased. Why did I get nominated for a Chunin? This seems all troublesome to me. The white-haired man scratched his chin, smiling. Well, Nara-san, I reviewed your match in the Chunin Exams. I was pleased. You have shown a great deal of intelligence, talent, and will to be a shinobi. Besides using the battlefield to your advantage, the obvious knowledge of your strengths and weaknesses, and knowing when to quit while you can, has secured you a nomination. You're a quick thinker, a strategist, and stayed cool, even when things didn't look good. That's the type of level-headed attitude we need for Chunin. Think of your match as one big mission. You had to fight a Kunoichi, who was found to be a seasoned genin with an affinity for high-level wind ninjutsu. Instead of fighting head-on, you kept your distance. You planned ahead and used the battlefield to your advantage. Then, when it was clear you could not defeat her, you forfeited. That's the attitude that separates the genin from the Chunin. I cannot tell you how many genin have thrown their lives away because they wanted to play hero, didn't know when to quit, and as a result, could never become a Chunin. That's the type of recklessness we don't want for Konohagakure. It's not about being strong in this world, but being smart. If the mission doesn't call for it, you fight only when you know you can fight. You flee to fight another day. That's what's important to this rank I'm giving you, and a lot of young upstarts like you don't get that. Fortunately, you or unfortunately for you seem to have got the main point of the exams. Ugh. Can I just not accept? I think I got promoted to Chunin way too fast for my liking. I was hoping for another year or two. Shikamaru's father answered before the Hokage. He looked positively cheeky. Well, you can refuse, but you can expect a hell of a ton lashing from your mother when you get home if you don't accept. She knows I was nominated, doesn't she? MMHM. Damn it, Dad. Manners, my son. Now, what to say to the nice Hokage? I want to say sigh, but I can't. Shikamaru then bowed deeply. Thank you very much, Hokage-sama. Jiraiya grinned at the two Nara men. You're welcome. Then he turned to the blonde boy next to Iruka Yumano. Now you, brat. Ah. Well, why was I nominated then? To be honest, you were more of a controversial pick, kid. Jiraiya leaned back in his seat leisurely, but his face serious. On one hand, the way you acted in front of all of us not too long ago shows you still need to mature a bit. That's not how you act in front of a leader of a village. Granted, I'll accept it since you're young, and the display by the Nara boy wasn't all that better either. On the other hand, there's another reason here. My advisors believed you are impulsive and reckless in the exams. In your match against Gaara, that certainly looked like it. Everything you seemed to be doing was not working. Not even when you threw those exploding tags at him. There was a time in the match where you clearly would have been killed if it wasn't for some very quick thinking and your opponent being momentarily distracted by the proctor. Naruto looked down, shamed by the Hokage's words. But, I think that doesn't matter. The blonde perked up and looked at Jiraiya attentively. I say you can be as much of a thinker and strategist as the Nara boy here. The matches that sold me? Your match with Niji Hyuga and especially with Temari of Sunagakure. In those two matches, you had a clear plan on what to do. You used the battlefield to your advantage, and with your affinity for Earth release, it helped you go far in the tournament. Your combined usage of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu and the Doton, Mogirakure no Jutsu overpowered your otherwise more experienced shinobi. Niji could do nothing as you used basically two ninjutsu to defeat him. With Temari, you simply used your Earth affinity to make her fan useless and defeated her. That cannot be ignored. So what, you're a little impulsive, and so loud you make me want to tear my ears off my head. Naruto nearly snarled in indignation but caught himself. You'll grow out of it. You're young, you can act a little stupid sometimes. However, I don't think you're as impulsive and reckless when it comes to the battlefield. When you had that game plan, you made it work to the best of your abilities. I like that, and Konohagakure is going to like that. That's why I decided to bump you up to the next rank. Thank you. Streams of tears came down Naruto's face. He tried to stop it but he couldn't. He couldn't help it. These past few days has been a turbulent ride for him. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Jiraiya smiled. See? His tune turned. Right then, come and get the vests, young men. You have earned it. I best see nothing but good things from you from now on, right? Yes, sir. Both of the former genin said in front of their leader. Shikamaru threw on his newer vest over his usual attire, while Naruto unzipped his jacket and threw it over his black t-shirt. He was noticeably more ecstatic than his surly peer. Jiraiya smiled again at the both of them, though Naruto could have sworn the Hokage's smile was more directed towards him. How odd. But Naruto was too busy being overwhelmed with joy and happiness for what had happened just now. Finally, the day had come where he was one step closer to achieving his dream. Jiraiya, was it wise to do that? Hamura finally said after the office cleared out. Naruto and Shikamaru, along with his father, had left the office around 2 or 3 minutes before the elder man uttered anything. The Hokage-elect grunted out. You know what we are asking, Jiraiya. Clearly, the boy isn't ready to move up in the ranks. Koharu spoke up. Jiraiya merely drank from a cup of water. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he uttered, I noticed I didn't hear a yet from you, Utatane-sama. Maybe then that wouldn't sound so bad when you said it. You know, I think you two are being very narrow-minded. Saying the boy isn't mature enough to become a Chunin is indeed fair, but that's not the real reason why you want him to stay a genin, is it? The two were silent, while Jiraiya sighed. You two know about the Akatsuki from the information I have presented to the Hokage a few months ago. They will come for the boy. And sending him outside the village is completely foolish. That makes him easier to become captured. The female elder criticized. And keeping him confined to the village where they know where he's always going to be is worse. Jiraiya countered immediately, a frown now on his face. Not to mention the Akatsuki have a certain former ANBU captain of ours who knows the entire layout of the village. He hasn't been in the village for years. Koharu countered quickly. Jiraiya laughed sarcastically. Ha, we know that even though that's true, Itachi Uchiha was a child prodigy with an intellect that rivaled Inara. He poured water into his cup again. Now, we need to get prepared for this group of unknowns. You two of all people know the dangers of having little to no information on an enemy, no matter how seemingly small, and seemingly insignificant. We will be treating our enemy very seriously, especially when they seek the tailed beasts for their own. This means they have the means of taking them. Naruto cannot afford to stay just here and grow as some sort of secret weapon with no sort of experience of the real world. His potential is too large to be contained like that. We know this is a serious threat, Jiraiya. Do not insult us. Hamura said, showing some of his ire. However, do you not think you are going about this in the wrong way? We believe you are allowing your affection for the boy clouding your judgment, Koharu said bluntly and unapologetically. Your desire to protect him because he is Minato-sama's son is making you blind to reason. He needs to be kept here, and then we can bring out the potential you keep saying he has. There is no doubt he has it, but for the sake of the village and the sake of him, it's better to keep him here, and not have him go on any sort of mission that involves going outside the ville dash. Her words were interrupted by the shattering of glass. More specifically, the glass of water Jiraiya was going to drink from. From a quick glance at his eyes, the elders both knew the man was pissed, and it surprised them. Jiraiya was the most laid-back of the three legendary Sannin. As fast as that anger flashed in his eyes, however, was as fast as it went away. Jiraiya sighed and wiped the mess off the table with a towel he secured from somewhere on his person. The other two people in the office did not question it. Listen, I get it. To you two, Naruto Uzumaki is nothing more than a political tool. That is completely dash. Hamura started, looking furious. Jiraiya held his hand up, and that quelled any sort of retort from the now angered older shinobi. He's a Jinchuriki first, and a young man later, but you couldn't be any wrong. This is a young man who will have a career beyond just coming out to fight for wars and defend our country against other Jinchuriki. Jiraiya rose from his seat and walked towards the middle of the office, staring at the both of the elders. Kushina Uzumaki was the former Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Yet, she was a renowned jonin, and she came to Konohagakure as young as 10 years old. She was treated as a full-fledged ninja who took missions outside Konohagakure and was a Kunoichi first, and a Jinchuriki later. In fact, she became strong because she wasn't treated like a Jinchuriki at all. She never used her demon's power at all or relied on it, and the Hokage never had her have to go through all the ordeals you were telling me to put Naruto through. He paused briefly and looked at the two older shinobi. Satisfied the elders no longer had any sort of retort to his words, Jiraiya continued. He did it, even when that time was a time of war and strife between all the nations in the world. It was a time where it would have been easy to force the girl to harness that power and become nothing more than our tool to use when we needed it. I will do exactly what Sarutobi sensei did. I will treat Naruto Uzumaki as he should be treated as. Then he will be weak and in danger. Koharu hissed, frustration starting to leak through her tone of voice. Jiraiya shook his head. They needed to change that attitude quick. They may have been older shinobi, but they forgot who he was and what he had been through. Hell, they hadn't been active shinobi for a while now. You misunderstand. See, unlike during Sarutobi sensei's reign, we do not have the luxury of having Naruto not use the Kyuubi to his advantage. What are you saying then, Jiraiya-sama? Hamura asked, a bit more respectful than Koharu, but not by much. I'm saying that he will be training to use his inner demon, elders. We all know the Kyuubi, as terrifying as a force it is something that will give Naruto strength. Just, we will not be seeing that as his only strength. He will be treated as a shinobi first. Nothing more, nothing less. I will be the one to see to this myself. I'm the only one who can, after all. I had one job before I accepted this gig, after all. Jiraiya stated evenly, drinking from his cup as the two elders quieted down. He didn't know why they were so worried about Naruto. He already promised his old teacher that Naruto would become the best damn shinobi he could mold, and he was already a goddamn good teacher. Just look at Minato, albeit the man was dead, but that wasn't because of Jiraiya not trying. No, Naruto would become just like his father, a legend. It would just take a little bit of his help to bring that potential out in him. Naruto spent the next half hour breaking the news to his friends at Ichiraku's. Ayame and Tucci were just as happy as he was. Tucci offered him an on-the-house meal and you already knew he took the deal, with gusto. Congratulations, Chunin Uzumaki. Irika started with a smile, before slurping on his ramen at a much more sedated pace than his former student. Wow, Chunin rank and it hasn't been so much of a year out of the academy. How does it feel? It feels good, sensei. It feels good. I'm one step closer to my dream. This is fucking awesome. Naruto retorted, touching his vest diligently as if he was touching something fragile. Just make sure you know what you're stepping into, Naruto. The time for playing around is over. From this day forward, you will no longer be treated as a child to the eyes of Konohagakure. Irika scolded, looking sternly at Naruto. Genin were illegally speaking adults, but they were still treated like kids, of course. Chunin meant you were an adult, through and through. I understand, sensei, Naruto said back flippantly, taking a swig from his dish. Do you, Naruto? I hope so. After all, like the Hokage said in the office, your election was controversial, meaning they didn't know whether or not you deserved to be elected. Hey, I worked my ass off in the Chunin exams, man. Naruto nearly growled back, his anger showing. What do their old asses know? A lot, you idiot. They have been around decades more than you and me. They were Sandaime-sama's teammates, and have nearly as much as respect as the Hokage. How many people do you think they elected before you and I were even born? The teacher of the academy shook his head. I thought we discussed how you need to see this rank as a responsibility. You are no longer a kid on a team, being led around by your jonin. You're a young man who will, one day, be called on missions that have nothing to do with Kakashi-san, or Sakura-chan, or Sasuke-kun. Naruto sobered up after that. He then looked down and put his chopsticks in his bowl. Yeah, that's right. I'm no longer a part of Team 7, am I? No, you're not. Well, I mean officially. You can go on missions with them all you want, sure, but what happens when you are called on missions by the Hokage's orders, or you are requested for missions that you must take? This isn't a game, Naruto. Irika sighed, tugging a little at his ponytail. Look, I know I'm being hard on you, but I'm telling you because you need to know. This is something no one's going to tell you later on in your career as a shinobi. It's time to grow, Naruto. You can't be a kid anymore, Naruto, at least while you wear that vest. You're a man now, it's time to start acting like one. He was indeed being hard on Naruto, but Irika truly couldn't fault Naruto on how he was acting. Not a bit. He didn't have a father to teach him how to be a man. He didn't have a grandfather to listen to. He didn't have an uncle to show him the way. He had no older brother to emulate or a cousin to connect to. He had no one. Naruto was forced to grow up with no one to look after him. Irika knew the feeling all too well. He remembered coming home where it was empty and lifeless. It was a constant reminder of the absent parents that were supposed to be there to see their son graduate and become a Chunin, where he helped model the youth and define shinobi like they had once done. Naruto had it worse. He was an orphan since birth, really. He didn't even know his parents, at least Irika had known he had parents who loved him. Naruto didn't have such a luxury. As a Jinchuriki, Irika knew Naruto would never have the luxury to take it easy. Life was hard enough, but being a vessel of a demon who earned the scorn of the entire village made things worse for him, and he had a lot to prove to them. He could see why Naruto's goal was to become a Hokage, but in order to get to that level, he had to shape up, and fast. Irika sighed but smiled forcefully. He patted the young man he viewed as a little brother and sometimes, confusingly enough, as a son on his shoulder. He saw Naruto's sullen face and couldn't help but to feel bad about. No, he couldn't feel bad. This was what Naruto needed to hear. Relax though. You have every right to be excited about this. I'm proud that you got to this level. I just want to see you go far, Naruto. If you're going to become my Hokage, you best get super strong. Naruto looked up and smiled. Then, he grinned. You're right. I'm a Chunin now. It's time to stop playing around. The position of the Hokage is something I'm looking forward to. That's right. So, you got to start becoming more serious, Naruto. Try to keep those little outbursts of yours inside, instead of at the Hokage's office, you hear me? Irika's stern face, however, dropped in favor of a large happy smile. Truthfully, the brown-haired man couldn't be any prouder today. 2 of his students had become a Chunin in as short as a year, and on their first tries at the Chunin Exams. Perhaps in times of war, that was not that spectacular, but nowadays, that was admirable indeed. Irika knew Naruto was the type of person who needed someone to give him that sort of congratulation, that sort of acknowledgement, and Irika didn't shy away from it at all, with the pat on the shoulder he gave him. He then ruffled Naruto's hair. You did good today, Naruto. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. Thanks, Irika-sensei. Naruto smiled gently, his eyes shining, and he seemed to shiver. Irika rubbed Naruto's back softly. Yeah, boy. Tsuchi said, bringing out a large bowl of ramen for him, and a moderate-sized one for Irika. We're proud of you too. As a show of it, we prepared a hell of dish for you. Sorry for the wait, but we hope you enjoy it. Suddenly appeared the kitchen to the side of Naruto, and gave Naruto a kiss on the cheek, and ruffled his hair as well. She placed Naruto's utensils down to his side, and a glass of water in front of him. You're going to go far, Naruto-kun. Every time you get a promotion like this, best believe a big bowl like this will be waiting for you. And who knows what will it be when you make Hokage, my boy. Tsuchi laughed livelily. So, you best it's okay, Naruto. No need to hold back now. Cry if you want. Shut up, Tsuchi Gigi. Naruto stuttered, rubbing his eyes furiously, feeling give him a hug from the back and Irika chuckling softly while making his hair completely a mess. He promised himself there would be no more tears for a good while, but here he was, almost bawling like a baby. But he was happy, and that was what it was all about. Something finally came good out this stupid-ass week. In Konohagakure, with Naruto Uzumaki 2 days later. Naruto sat on his couch, relaxing after having a breakfast made at home for him. He reflected on what had happened 2 days ago, a smile on his face. To be a Chunin. Honestly, it didn't feel all that different to Naruto, but it hadn't been very long since his promotion. There were certain benefits to his promotion, he was sure. He had access to more missions of a higher tier, and if he tried to go there more often, more access to higher level techniques to learn in the library. It also didn't hurt that now he had some bragging rights. At least that was nice. He was the first one of his peers, besides Shikamaru, to become a Chunin now. Who could say he was one of the worst genin of last year's graduating class now? Of course, he didn't think anyone could argue that anyway with how far he came in the exams. He ended up in the finals after all. Speaking of his peers, he saw a few recently. Shikamaru yesterday, along with his team, were rare visitors of Ichiraku. Naruto didn't believe Shikamaru or Choji had any sort of problem coming to the fast food joint at all, but Naruto figured Ino would be wary of such places because of her dieting. How she wanted to diet especially when she was a genin was beyond him, but in the end, he decided he didn't care all too much about it anyway since she wasn't his teammate. But yeah, they congratulated him. Well, Ino kind of raged, and was disbelieving at his promotion, but Naruto believed it was more out of being annoyed that Sasuke didn't get a promotion before him or Shikamaru for that matter. The 2 genin who did horrendously in our graduating year ended up becoming Chunin before the Rookie of the Year? How does that work out? Of course, Naruto wisely didn't add that Sasuke didn't get promoted because he and Kakashi were so late to the Chunin Exams stadium that Sasuke got disqualified because of it. Doing so may have ended him getting screamed at by the self-confessed Sasuke fangirl. Naruto was trying to have a good afternoon that day, not get into some argument with a girl who was just looking to start one with her ranting. So, he just did what Shikamaru and Choji had come to learn to do when dealing with Ino Yamanaka. Aha, yeah. Nod your head, agree out loud, and shut up after that. After them, he ended up running into Team Kurenai without the named person in tow with them. Kiba looked annoyed that Naruto was now a Chunin, but that turned out to be just a facade, and he congratulated Naruto with a hard slap on his chest and a fist bump. Shino gave his congrats too, but it was more long-winded and talky compared to Kiba's. Nevertheless, Naruto appreciated it. Hinata's cheer of congratulations was interesting. Well, it was more of a stuttering mess of congrats with Hinata looking like her face was catching on fire, and Kiba looking like he was going to keel over in laughter. Naruto was super curious about why the hell Hinata got like that when she saw Naruto. She was already a shy and introverted girl from what Naruto figured, but she became worse when she saw him. Maybe she didn't like him or something, or maybe she was fearful of him. He didn't know, though it didn't seem like it since she didn't act like it. He didn't know he didn't see Hinata all that much anyway, so he didn't try to worry about it too much. Still, she was quite strange. Well, he still liked her. Anyway, yeah, he was now in his third day of being a Chunin, and in all honesty, nothing had changed a bit. Though he supposed what could he expect? Huge missions from the Hokage himself already? Not going to happen. He was a rookie Chunin, and he would have to get his feet wet before he could dream of getting such missions. His fantasies of saving princesses from snowy lands, or priestesses with the power to seal away demons, or going back in time to protect future queens of large, forgotten cities would have to be put on hold. Hey, a man could dream, right? Knock on the door took him out of his thoughts. He got off from his couch and opened his door. He was greeted with the cheery voice of his teacher. Or, well, his former teacher, really. Now that he was Chunin, as Irika had explained last night, he was no longer truly bound to Team Kakashi anymore. Good morning. Morning, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto uttered in an even tone. Hello, Naruto. Congrats on your promotion. I heard through the grapevine about it. Sorry I couldn't see you before to give you the congratulations though. Kakashi said cordially, despite Naruto's calmer tone. Thanks. What's up? Well, I'm sure you heard about it, but I'm here to come collect you. Sakura and I will be going to the inauguration of the next Hokage. Naruto nodded, definitely not wanting to miss that. Oh, yeah. They do that when they want to instate a new Hokage, huh? All right. I washed up before, so just let me throw on my vest and shirt. Right. The walk to Sakura's home was simple and quiet. Neither of the men talked, and that was just fine with Naruto. They had really nothing to talk about. Kakashi knocked on the door and announced himself. Sakura was the one who came to answer the door. Oh, Kakashi-sensei, and Naruto. Oh, that's right. Congratulations on becoming a Chunin, Naruto. Thanks, Sakura-chan. Naruto smiled brightly at his female friend. Of course, don't let that give you a big head. After all, you got a lot to catch up if you want to match Sasuke-kun. Besides that, you got to start taking responsibility now for your actions. She placed her hands on her hips, looking stern. Naruto tried not to roll his eyes at Sakura, remembering to use the same tactic he used on Ino. Aha, yeah. Alright, Sakura. Enough of harassing your teammate. You need to get ready for today. Sakura put a figure to her lips. She adopted a thinking expression. Oh yeah, the inauguration of the Hokage is today, is it? I looked at the flyer my mother got a few days. She won't be able to make it out looking after Dad who got sick just recently, but I'll go with you guys. Good. Will Sasuke-kun be able to join us? Sakura asked, looking hopeful. Kakashi shook his head. No, he isn't clear yet. Sakura deflated. Ah, I see. Well, I guess that's okay. I should go visit him. You too, Naruto. She looked again at her teammate, or former teammate, to be exact. You haven't visited him yet, have you? Naruto started, looking somewhat sheepish. Oh, yeah. He didn't actually visit Sasuke at all, since the time he was put in the hospital, did he? I guess I haven't. Well, you're going to come with me, after the inauguration, so prepare yourself. We'll all go, Sakura. Kakashi stated, smiling at his student. I think Sasuke will appreciate us all being there. Naruto almost snorted. Sasuke appreciating their presence? That sounded a little out of character for the guy. Then again, Sasuke could act like a tsundere sometimes. Nevertheless, Naruto nodded at Kakashi. Alrighty then. Sakura turned her body to go back inside her house. Wait for me. I'll get my stuff and we can go. The men nodded, and watched the door close in front of their faces. In Konohagakure, the inauguration of Jiraiya. Jiraiya stared back at a cheering crowd. Adorned in the white and red garb of the Hokage, with the traditional hat of the Hokage on his head, Jiraiya stared at the many people who had come to see this event happen. Villagers, ninjas, children and adults alike, they all stood in the courtyard of the Konoha Ninja Academy. They all had cheered, they had all came to see who would be elected as Hokage. They came for a fresh start, new beginnings, a new Hokage to bring hope back to the village. They wanted a good show from the man who was their new leader. And Jiraiya was great at many things, including being a great entertainer. He was going to definitely spice the hell out of this inauguration and make sure he left an impression upon all of them. Ganma Shiranui, who was the elite bodyguard of the last Hokage, and the Hokage before that, came to Jiraiya and offered him a microphone to amplify his voice, but Jiraiya slapped it out his hand. Ganma was immediately confused. My lord? I do not need a microphone, Ganma. My voice is already fucking powerful. Jiraiya announced, energetically stepping to the edge of the roof of the Ninja Academy, and placing one wooden geta on the railing. In a show of great control over his chakra, one stomp on the railing leading to two giant pillars of flames launching into the skies nearby his person. The pillars remained, as did his foot. My fellow villagers. My fellow shinobi. My fellas, and of course I can't forget my ladies, it is I. Who am I, you ask? Then Jiraiya weaved a set of hand seals, and the pillars of fire transformed from simple flames to dragons created out of the fire. I am the Great One, the Mountain and the Mountain Mover. I am the immovable object and the irresistible force itself. I am the back twister, lingerie ripper, the automatic leg spreader, go-getter, keeping it ninja with ya, the god's son himself. I am the Toad Sage, Jiraiya, and I am the Godame Hokage. Jiraiya barely heard the sound of his two advisors slap themselves in the face before he got an immediate response from the crowd. They popped. They shouted. They cheered. They yelled. They were alive, and the downed and injured spirit that once had the village in a headlock disappeared. The dragons who rose from the flames then circled above the Hokage and his peers on the rooftop. They hissed and roared as loudly as the crowd was. Jiraiya smirked and leaned on the leg on the railing of the rooftop. My people. We have been through a hell of a time last week. The village was invaded and nearly destroyed by both Suna and Otogekure. That led to a bunch of yells and jeers from the crowd, but Jiraiya waited until they calmed down a bit to continue. But look at us now, standing when they thought they could destroy us. They thought they could beat us, break us, but how could they break the will of fire? The crowd immediately were on their feet, shouting and cheering proudly again. The dragons roared with them. Jiraiya continued, looking pleased. Yes, that energy, that power that I feel from you all is exactly what we need to be. We need to be powerful, to be strong, to show the world that you may be able to push us down and defeat us, but our will burns as strong and bright as fire itself. We will continue to get back up, continue to fight when it looks like we cannot, and we will continue to be the strongest hidden village on this entire continent." The dragons roared again, as did the people, who many started to cheer his name. "Jiraiya, Jiraiya! Jiraiya, Jiraiya!" It was time to take it home. "From this day until my last, I, Jiraiya, will continue to serve this village as your Hokage. I, Jiraiya, will continue to protect this village as your Hokage. I, Jiraiya, will be the Hokage who will forestal burns." Everyone cheered, and the dragons roared one last time until Jiraiya took his foot off the railing. Then, the dragons combusted in the sky into a shower of fire that quickly disappeared into the air. Jiraiya walked away from the people and returned to the ninja academy. His bodyguards the now quiet and mystified Ganma Shiranui, a gawking Iwashi Tatami, and a smirking Reito Namiya quickly walked behind him, and the two elder advisors were at Jiraiya's side. "Like the inauguration, people?" Jiraiya asked almost arrogantly. "Humph, you could have acted a little professionally," Koharu grumbled. "I thought it was not too shabby, my lord," Hamura stated, looking more amused than his female counterpart did. "Yes, of course, you enjoyed it, Hamura," Koharu glared at her former teammate. "After all, you were smirking throughout the whole speech." Ah, semantics. It was the night, where the sun no longer beat down on his head. Yet, Suna was naturally arid and hot. A lack of water in the air would make someone like him take off their headband just to mop the sweat off their head. Kakashi always hated coming out here for certain missions because of the weather. It was a wonder why people weren't walking around half naked with this scorching heat, and from what he heard, Suna was going through a drought. At least the buildings didn't make you feel like a baked potato. The buildings, made of clay, sand, and stucco, made going into shelter much more bearable, however. Also, the invention of a fan made life in Suna probably not as bad as did like 30 years ago. Thank God for the little things. Other than that, Kakashi nursed a cold lime-flavored chuhai drink, a perfect mix of an alcohol and a carbonated drink, and felt himself cool down for a bit. It was something of a local favorite in Suna, and the bartender suggested it when Kakashi didn't know what to drink. He wasn't much of a drinker honestly, and only came to the bar because Ganma and Iwashi went to go get a drink. Reito took it upon himself to stay and guard the two elders. Reito wasn't much of a drinker either, nor a person to relax too much. But Kakashi definitely welcomed the chance to get some downtime, even if it was in territories who they were just fighting with. That could put anyone on edge. Still, it felt nice to relax for a bit. Nothing beat being in Konoha, however. Besides the heat, he had a reason to want to be at home. The reason? His two most troublesome students, Sasuke and Naruto. Ah, he could remember the problem growing between those two. It was the day of the inauguration of Jiraiya, who was now the new Hokage of Konoha. Kakashi had known for a bit Jiraiya was the Hokage, but it was something entirely different seeing the legendary ninja being sworn in as the leader of the village. It was truly something else, that entire ceremony. Kakashi's favorite part had definitely had to be when those dragons Jiraiya created exploded. As did many of the ninjas and civilians in the crowd. He had agreed though that today was a good idea to go visit Sasuke. Naruto had admitted he hadn't visited the Uchiha at all ever since Sasuke was admitted to the hospital. Sakura herself stated she tried visiting as much as she could. After the ceremony of the Hokage, Kakashi and his students rushed over to the hospital. Kakashi decided to be the one to knock on Sasuke's hospital door. He heard a soft come in from inside, prompting him to let himself and his team in the room. Sasuke came to view, who was starting to slowly rise up from his place in the bed. Sakura almost rudely pushed Kakashi out of the way to say cheerfully, "Good afternoon, Sasuke-kun." Sasuke looked annoyed at that. Well, that was the usual face of Sasuke. "Hello," he said gruffly. "What's good with you, bastard?" Naruto said casually, picking up on Sasuke's sour mood. "Nothing at all. I'm relaxing here in the hospital with my arm, leg, and ribs still in binds, still very much in pain. What's up with you? Did you have your 10 bowls of ramen today?" Sasuke said sarcastically, not in the mood to banter with Naruto at all. Naruto waved his hands defensively. Relax. There's no need to get all pissy now. Yes, Sasuke. After all, we're here to visit you and see how you are progressing now. Kakashi stated, attempted to placate his student. I'm fine. Sasuke flatly stated. The doctors this morning stated I will be out in 2 or 3 days. Ah, I see. That's good. You missed the inauguration, by the way. Inauguration? Of the new Hokage, Kakashi explained. Didn't I tell you that the Sandaime lost his life in the invasion? Oh. Yeah, I remember. Sasuke stated. Who is the Hokage now? Ever heard of Jiraiya before? Ah, Sasuke said, his eyes lighting up with realization. A Sannin got voted in. I guess that's good then. Sasuke looked like he had nothing more to say on the subject of Hokage, so Kakashi moved on. How many days did you say you will be here? 3 more days? Unfortunately, I don't believe I will be here to see you leave. Huh? Why is that, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked. Yeah, why? Naruto supplied. I have been assigned a mission that will take me out of the village for a few days. Maybe a week. I leave in tomorrow morning. Oh, was the collective sound that the 3 younger shinobi made. However, that doesn't mean you guys can get a break in not training. Sakura, you stated you wanted to learn more about genjutsu and medical ninjutsu, right? Why yes. The pink-haired girl stuttered, surprised. Well, I have a person who can help you with your genjutsu, who is a lot better of a teacher with that ninja art than I am. I also got a few scrolls about the basics of medical ninjutsu. Ah, okay. Thank you, sensei. Sasuke, I have a few scrolls of ninjutsu for you when you get out of the hospital in a few days. I'll leave them in the custody of your apartment if you don't mind. Kakashi stated, knowing Sasuke no longer lived on the Uchiha compound ever since his clan's massacre. Sasuke shrugged, fine. The spare key is under my rug. Good. I'll give it back to you when I return back to the hospital around tomorrow. That'll be the same time I give you the scrolls. As for you, Naruto, Kakashi turned to the blonde-haired boy. Well, since you are no longer on my payroll, I'm not obligated to give you training now. However, since when we discussed this before, I will still give you any sort of training you need help with. So, if you want, I'll give you some scrolls and you can learn from them whenever you want. At least until I come back. Naruto nodded sedately. Thank you, sensei. Sasuke looked up in realization at Kakashi. Wait, you said Naruto isn't on your payroll. What does that mean? Kakashi looked sheepish. Ah, yes. I didn't tell you what happened, but Naruto recently got dash. But Sasuke already figured it out. Promoted to Chunin rank. Sasuke interjected, looking irritated. I see it now. This started to alarm Kakashi. Oh boy. Here it comes. Heh, yep. Naruto grinned, giving the ebony-haired boy a thumbs up. Shocked? It looks like the deadlast made it to the Chunin rank before you. Naruto teased Sasuke, who was increasingly looking angry. Naruto. Sakura warned, starting to get annoyed herself. What? It shouldn't be a big deal. It's just a promotion. Doesn't mean much. Shut up, you idiot. Sakura glared heatedly at the blonde boy. You're totally bragging right now. Kakashi privately agreed that Naruto may have been doing just that, but Sasuke wasn't exactly taking it in a mature manner. The ebony-haired teen was shaking. Naruto scratched his head, a puzzled look on his face appeared. But I'm not bragging, Sakura-chan. You totally were just now. Sakura growled. You really are such a stupid dash. Congratulations. Huh? Naruto and Sakura both questioned. They looked at Sasuke with surprise. Kakashi merely stared at his students. Good job, yay. You got promoted. That's nice. Truly. Sasuke growled. It's good, Naruto. Congrats. Now, are you done? Do you feel happy that you got promoted earlier than me? You're saying you're better than me or something? Naruto frowned. I didn't mean it like that. I was just kidding. Chill out, man. I'm completely calm. No, you're not. Yes. I am. You're. Really? Not though. Kakashi decided it was time to step in. Settle down, guys. There's no need to fight here. Especially you, Sasuke. You're supposed to be resting, not getting overexcited. He may have smiled, but in his head, he was wary of that attitude Sasuke displayed. He seemed aggressive, angry, and he couldn't stop clenching his hands. Boy, what a mess this was, wasn't it? If Sasuke was mad Naruto had made Chunin rank before him, it was most definitely Kakashi's fault. He was to blame for Sasuke not getting the chance to fight Gaara. If that was what Sasuke was angry at. But Kakashi believed that wasn't the case. No, it was a deeper reason, and it was all thanks to the actions of Itachi Uchiha. Thanks to the murder of his clan by his brother, Sasuke had something beyond merely a competitive spirit. In fact, it seemed to be something of a complex. Sasuke perceived everything as a challenge in his life he had to conquer. That meant people too. Itachi is a challenge, the shinobi back in the Chunin exams was a challenge, and now, he perceived Naruto as a challenge because of his higher status. Sasuke looked like a ninja stalking and ready to pounce on his enemy. After the brief visit session, they had left the hospital. Naruto had separated from them, citing that he had to do something today, and he couldn't hang out with them for long. That left him with Sakura to walk with. Sakura. Kakashi began, as his only female student walked with him through the village. Yeah, Kakashi-sensei? You saw what happened today, correct? Kakashi rhetorically asked, and was about to continue but Sakura already interrupted, looking excited. Right? That Naruto is such a blockhead for provoking Sakura started to rant, but was quickly cut off by her teacher. If anything happens between the two, I want you to try to stop them from going too far. If that fails, get help. Do you hear me? Kakashi gave her a serious eye. Do you understand me, Sakura? Okay, sensei. I understand. Sakura agreed to the request but looked bewildered. I'm serious, Sakura. I gathered that. The pink-haired Kunoichi scratched her head. What makes you so sure that anything is going to happen between them? Call it a hunch. Scoot over, Hataki-senpai. A voice came from his left, bringing him out of his thoughts, and he gazed up at the person who spoke. Yugo came, lacking the ANBU armor, and instead was in her standard attire outside ANBU, a green standard flak vest, blue gloves, blue pants, and blue sandals. Ah, Yugo. You know you don't have to be so formal now. I haven't been your leader for a while now. We've been friends for a while now. He nevertheless moved over, to see her sit down next to him. She brought with her a large bottle of sake and 2 saucer-like cups with her. No can do, senpai. You are my elder and my superior. She stated, already pouring a drink. You mind helping me finishing off this bottle, senpai? Not what he was planning, but who was he to let a friend drink by herself? Especially when he knew Yuga wasn't a heavy drinker. Sure. So, I'm guessing your team finally convinced you to get some time off to yourself, eh? Yugo snorted. Captain Tenzo had to threaten me with showing me his scary face if I didn't go out and enjoy myself tonight. Ah. I see. Well, oh, thank you, Kakashi interrupted himself, thanking his former subordinate for the drink she gave him. He watched her down her drink with gusto. Again, very unlike Yugo. You're really relaxing a lot. I know what you're thinking, senpai. Don't worry. I won't drink too much. Just a little bit, and then, I'll be leaving. I can't be too relaxed here, especially with all of these killers here. Yugo muttered scornfully, hatefully looking at the unsuspecting bartender who was wearing a turban on his head. Kakashi knew it had to be rough. She and now many of those in Konoha affected by Suna and Oto's joint attack on Kanahagakure weeks ago had to accept that there would be peace between the two villages. Hell, it seems there would be even negotiations for some sort of alliance between Konoha and Suna. I'm sorry, Kakashi said, feeling it was futile. The purple-haired shinobi shook her head, the edge of her eyes softening up a bit. Just drink with me, senpai. So Kakashi did such and said nothing else for the rest of the evening to the morning woman. Instead, he watched her and see her turn from a hardened assassin with one of the best service histories he ever saw in ANBU, to a blubbering, crying mess. By the third shot, he did the smart thing and stopped drinking, while she was on her sixth. By the eighth shot, she had trouble recalling his name. She really didn't drink merely a little. She was completely shit-faced. Yugo was no drinker, and he really shouldn't have let her even get past the fifth shot, really. No longer thinking it was good to have her drink her life away in this crappy bar, he had stopped her from drinking anymore, and with some prodding, got her to get out of the bar with him. Some fresh air would do you better than drinking your problems away, he told her. Might have sounded rich coming from a guy who often spent time at the village's memorial stone, but he had to keep his friend from going down a bad path. She must have felt the same because she gave no sort of resistance. Either that, or she was too wasted to do anything. They walked, or rather, he dragged her with one arm around her waist, around the village, with her slurring nonsensically. Kakashi ignored all of that and dragged her off to his room to cool down. She moved in sluggishly and then collapsed into the bed. He, not wanting to have a misunderstanding in the morning with his former subordinate, chose a seat to rest in. He turned off the lights, closed his eyes, and slept until the sunrise. What a long day it was. Meanwhile, back in Kanahagakure, a week after Kakashi's departure. Training day in and day out had its pleasures, Naruto reflected. After all, he loved getting stronger and progressing in his training of Earth Release. Unfortunately, he had hit a blockade in his training about a few days ago. He knew he would have to go to Ebisu for more training. However, Naruto realized that what the late Sandaime had said about receiving training from Ebisu was correct. Naruto had decided to seek the elite trainer out yesterday but hadn't gotten what he wanted. It took him a bit to find Ebisu, but after remembering that Ebisu often visited the restaurant that served seafood because of his love for fried crab and kamaboko, Naruto soon met the man. Yo, Ebisu-sensei. Ebisu waved. Ah, Naruto-kun. It has been some time. Yeah. I've been busy with training and all. Ah, sorry for interrupting your lunch. It is no problem. It is still very good to see you, but I imagine you are not here because you are to order food. Naruto shook his head. I'm here for some training. I have figured. Ebisu folded his hands on the table. Unfortunately, I must refuse. My duties to train Konohamaru-sama have greatly taken up much of my time. Despite him being in school? Naruto scratched his head. Yes. It seems he is starting to really take his training seriously. Ebisu smiled. The young master has asked me himself to increase his training from 1 day a week to 3 days. I also have one other client in the village I must tend to. Not to mention my other duties to the village as a Tokubetsu Jonin has had me feeling rather swamped. Ah. I see. Naruto stated, showing his disappointment. Ebisu lowered his head. I apologize. I know I have promised you that I would be willing to train after the Chunin Exams, and I have no objections to do so, but I cannot do it for now. Maybe perhaps in 2 months. I also cannot do it freely. I was doing Kakashi-kun a favor for the month. I cannot do it again without some sort of compensation. So even if I had the money to pay you, you wouldn't be available to train me? Ebisu nodded, leading Naruto to sigh in dismay. Great. How else am I going to get training in my elemental affinity? Hire someone else, Ebisu suggested. This village is filled with plenty of trainers willing to help, especially if it means they would be paid to do so. You will find out that in our profession money talks, and it will get you where you want to go fast. The Tokubetsu Jonin took a few moments to take a bite out of his fried crab. MMM. Of course, trainers like food who come in assorted flavors, types, and prices. What you get with one trainer, you may not get with another of a higher or lower price. I get it. Naruto folded his arms, trying not to be too upset. After all, he was warned by the late Hokage about this. Here. Ebisu went into his pocket and grabbed a blue-colored book. This is the village's trainers list. Consider it a gift for making Chunin rank. Originally, when you become a Chunin, you can buy and use this book to get yourself a trainer. Since you're in dire need of a trainer, I am going to give you it free. Take it upon yourself to read it up. Thanks, Sensei. Naruto smiled, greatly appreciating the book. At least something good came out of all of this. Ebisu pointed to the book. Each section of the book is dedicated to which ninja art the trainer specializes in. I specialize in a few things in the book myself, but mostly with ninjutsu. Really? Curiosity got the better of the blonde teen, remembering what Ebisu said earlier about different trainers gave different prices. He scrolled through the pages, seeing that the listing of ninjutsu trainers inside was alphabetical, and found Ebisu. And found the almost ridiculous amount of Rio it was to hire him. Fucking what? Sensei, why are there 6 zeros in the price to hire you? You did not think my moniker as elite trainer Ebisu was mere hyperbole, did you? Ebisu said, starting to puff his chest out proudly. I am one of the most efficient trainers in Konoha, and my success rate at making my clients rank up to at least Chunin is at an excellent 96%. I was a former academy teacher, training plenty of children for their Chunin exams, have worked with plenty of men and women and helped them become Chunin and or Jonin, and I even found work training a team to become guards of the fire daimyo. You will find that the 6 zeros attached to my hiring price is well deserved on my part. Okay, I believe you, Naruto waved in defeat, not really wanting that speech. Still, he could not argue with the man, as he did help Naruto become a Chunin. Damn though. It's gonna take some time until I get to hire you. Ebisu leaned back in the chair, keeping his gaze on Naruto. If you want to become an excellent shinobi, you are going to need to be able to know what your weaknesses are, and what you need to improve in. I know because of your status, it makes your chakra levels astoundingly high, but I also know with elevated levels of chakra comes abysmal chakra control. You are going to need to be able to have great control over chakra to use higher levels of ninjutsu, and frankly, you have been substituting that need of chakra control for your already gigantic pools of chakra. Power is great, but control is just as important. Chakra control is something you should never forget in your training. Also, low levels of chakra control make you susceptible to genjutsu as well, which is an art often overlooked. Genjutsu is a deadly ninja art that can be just as if not more devastating than ninjutsu. If you lack the control, you will find yourself ensnared in genjutsu often. To combat that, why not find a teacher that can help you with your genjutsu countering skills? What I find shameful is that many modern shinobi do not employ genjutsu in their arsenal, or at least find more counters for it. You would not know how many times I found simply applying genjutsu dash. Naruto stopped the man from droning off any further. Ebisu-sensei, while I do find this all interesting, I do want to go eat something myself. I kinda skipped lunch to go find you. The blue-clad shinobi coughed into his gloved hand sheepishly. My mistake. You certainly did not come here to be lectured today. The Chunin teacher in me was talking. I apologize. Nevertheless, what I said holds to be true. If you are going to use the book I gave you, use it to make yourself find balance. Specialization is important, but find the time to balance the other things about yourself as well. I shall leave you with that. Anyway, good luck with your training, Naruto. I suggest though if you do not have the money, get by using that new shiny flak jacket to use. And Naruto planned to do such because the money he gained from the mission in Nami no Kuni had finally dwindled down. So, he figured he had to put his new Chunin rank to use. That, and the fact that Naruto wanted to start working on gaining higher ranked missions, even if it was something like C ranks. He read that C rank missions tended to be the type of missions with little to no combat involved, besides maybe the occasional bandit attack or whatever. It would be something like a retrieval mission or perhaps an escort mission, like how the Nami no Kuni was supposed to be like. To be truthful, it didn't sound all that riveting, but if he was to make a name for himself, he had to start somewhere. It would beat doing lowly D ranks like doing someone else's chores for them. So, he decided it was time to take up one of those. After a breakfast at home, he geared up and left to the outside world. He was halfway to the Ninja Academy, where the mission assignment desk would be at when suddenly he had an idea. Wait. What if I asked Sakura-chan and that bastard Sasuke to accompany me on the mission? It could work. After all, Sasuke was now out of the hospital and back on active duty, and Sakura was already available. He put a finger on his bottom lip, thinking about it. Well, I am sure Sakura-chan will have no problem with coming if I say Sasuke is coming. Of course, she would. Naruto thought dully. Knowing Sakura, anything Sasuke related she would want to be included. Of course, that's hoping Sasuke wants to come. After our episode at the hospital, I wonder if he's going to be mad at me still. Naruto asked himself, squinting his eyes and sighing in frustration. The Uchiha seemed livid when he heard of Naruto's promotion, and it dared Naruto to say it envious as hell. Naruto couldn't lie. He relished the look at first, he would admit, but things quickly became heated in the room. Sasuke looked ready to fight him. Was he that envious of his promotion? Besides, there was another problem with taking his team on a mission with him. From what he knew, Chunin could take Genin on missions, so as long as they had permission from their Jonin teacher, and or the Hokage, or even a dire situation. However, since Kakashi-sensei was not in the village at the time, getting permission to take Sakura and Sasuke out even if he was their teammate was probably going to not happen. So, I guess that means I should do this solo, Naruto thought to himself. Well, that would be fine, he supposed. He would ask to get permission from Kakashi next time to take Sakura and Sasuke on missions without Kakashi being there. That meant it was time to get to the mission assignment desk in the academy and see what he could get. Lovely. He first found Sasuke in Team Kakashi's assigned training ground. Sparks of electricity flew in the air around Naruto's teammate. It seems like he was practicing a technique, perhaps from the scrolls their teacher Kakashi gave them the other day. He watched for a few moments, silently, before letting his presence known, stepping towards Sasuke less silently. Sasuke opened his mouth before Naruto did, however. He also had his back to Naruto. Took you long enough to come and approach me. What the hell are you doing trying to sneak up on me, dead last? Naruto blinked. Oh, you knew I was here? You move so slowly sometimes. It's like I could hear you from a mile away. Sasuke grunted, attempting to shoot a stream of fire from his mouth again. He succeeded, but he didn't sound satisfied with him sighing like so. What do you want? Well, since I'm a Chunin now, Naruto noticed Sasuke's fists clenching. I wanted to see if we can take a mission. And that includes me? Why? We're not on a team anymore, dumbass. And what does that mean? Doesn't mean we can't do missions together. Naruto frowned. I would think you would want to go on one. Sasuke scoffed. Did you even go to the mission assignment desk? What mission would we be going on together? Because if we're just going to go on a boring C-rank mission, or worse, a D-rank, count me out. I can do more productive things with my time. Naruto found himself increasingly becoming annoyed with his former teammate, regretting coming here. Well, I am a Chunin, you bastard. I'm sure I can request for a more higher mission. So, are you gonna go or not? Sasuke stopped, and actually considered it, before answering with, Sakura's coming with us? Of course. We really should just go on our own. Sasuke sighed, as Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. Of course not. Whatever. Let's just get her then. Sakura, of course, agreed immediately. Like Naruto thought she would. No doubt that had to do with Sasuke. They headed to the mission assignment desk quickly after that. Naruto looked and did not recognize the guy at the desk. He expected someone else to be there, actually. Usually, Irika-sensei would be the one there when he wasn't teaching at the school, assigning missions. Instead, it was some other guy who looked, honestly, forgettable. An average-looking man with dark brown hair, matching eyes, and fair skin, who seemed to have an average build as well. Nevertheless, Naruto decided to be friendly. Afternoon. Afternoon, Uzumaki-san, was it? Oh, the man asked, smiling at Naruto. Congrats on your promotion. Thanks. Naruto gave the man a thumbs up. The man turned the smile to both Sakura and Sasuke. And the same to you two as well. Good afternoon, sir, Sakura returned, just as jovial as the man said it. Afternoon, Sasuke grunted. Alright, you are here for a mission, no? I can tell, you look eager to go on one. Alright, let's see here. There are a few missions today. A few D ranks, and a few C ranks. Let me take a look. The man set the missions on the table. Naruto scanned them quickly, and then looked back up at the mission assignment clerk. Oh, no B ranks? None today, I'm afraid. The clerk said, seemingly sympathetically. Sasuke snorted, muttering something darkly that Naruto didn't quite hear. Though, if Naruto had to guess, the ebony-haired Uchiha wasn't pleased. Sakura didn't seem to mind either way, but she looked at Sasuke, stating, I'll be okay, Sasuke-kun. Right. I gotcha. Naruto rubbed his chin. Well, that was a little disappointing, no doubt. Team 7 were no stranger to C-rank missions. They had done quite a few after their first one in Nami no Kuni. Granted that one turned into a dangerous A rank. Besides, just because they were some C-rank missions today only, didn't mean he couldn't get a B rank in the future. The blonde-haired boy scanned the files on the desk. One was escorting some politic from Konoha to Hai no Kuni's capital. That sounded boring. Another was delivering a package to Tanzakugai, someplace in the country. That sounded like a job better suited to a courier ninja. No thank you. The third mission he saw was a retrieval mission, finding a... Wait, am I reading this right? A frigging ostrich we're supposed to find? Didn't know they had those in Hai no Kuni. And this thing knows taijutsu? Naruto blinked. He processed the information he just learned, and then moved on to his other options. Well, compared to that, everything else seemed tamed. And he had no idea what to pick. Naruto exhaled, somewhat noisily, and put his hands on his hips. He looked at his options again. They weren't much, and all looked pretty boring. Well, except one. And hey, at least the mission's pay was pretty decent. What the hell? Well, that ostrich mission looked interesting enough.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.